You're listening to the PAZNIA Radio Network.
Billy Mays here, host of Vonu Extreme, bringing you the deepest and dirtiest insights into the most radical and sometimes the most radically inconsistent Vonu lifestyles. This episode is the Strait of Stress, living on the edge of Armageddon. Host Vonu Vanderhoof, the stunning goat over there in the high-tech bulletproof silk, will dialogue with Jontavius Jensen, a self-liberator who has chosen an unconventional lifestyle. As you can see there, Jontavius stands upon the slightly rusted yacht, the Sovereign Float, holding his Trust Martini glass amongst a sea of massive ships. And no, those aren't yachts, those are military ships. This is Vonu Extreme, coming to you from the Straits of Hormuz.
I can barely hear myself think. But that's the point, isn't it, Jontavius? Welcome to Vonu Extreme. I'm here in the middle of the Persian Gulf, literally in the crosshairs of a geopolitical powder keg, with a man who claims to have achieved the ultimate state of Vonu, an invulnerability to coercion. Jontavius, tell our listeners, who are currently watching from the safety of their bunkers in the Free Republic of PAZNIA, what are you doing here?
Vonu. It's great to be here, Vonu. And for those at home, yes, I'm currently anchored in the Straits of Hormuz. Specifically, I've dropped anchor right in the middle of the shipping lane that the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps has declared a no-fly, no-sail, no-go zone.
You're in the kill zone.
I call it the VIP lounge. See, Vonu isn't about hiding in a bunker. It's about realizing that coercion is a mental state. And right now, I feel incredibly secure. Why? Because I'm surrounded by the most dangerous men on Earth.
Wait. You're saying your safety comes from being near potential enemies?
Exactly. Look at this view. You see those fireworks? That's a missile firing. Over there's a drone strike. That's a naval blockade. To the average person, that's terrifying. To me, that's entertainment. I love the thrill. I love the adrenaline. It makes the martini taste better. But more importantly, I love the protection.
Protection? From whom?
From everyone. See, this yacht, the Sovereign Float, is technically a neutral humanitarian aid vessel, but in reality, it's a floating fortress. I hired a private security detail, 12 men, all ex-special forces, all heavily armed. They have RPGs, machine guns, and enough explosives to sink a destroyer, and they are very happy to be here. Why? Because I pay them in Bitcoin, and I pay them in OxyClean.
You pay mercenaries with cleaning products?
It's a barter economy, Vonu. The world is collapsing. Gold is heavy. Fiat currency is worthless. But a man with a gun? He wants a clean shirt. He wants a clean deck. He wants to know that if a missile comes his way, he has a place to hide. I provide the shelter. They provide the firepower. It's a symbiotic relationship.
So you're using coercive force to maintain your non-coercive lifestyle?
I'm a paradox, Vonu. I'm living the Vonu lifestyle in a Vonu hostile environment. That's the ultimate test. If I can stay calm while a destroyer fires a warning shot across my bow, then I have truly conquered my fear. And if I can stay calm while my bodyguards argue over who gets the last can of beans, then I have conquered my ego.
Let's talk about the daily life. You mentioned the fireworks. What's a typical day like aboard the Sovereign Float?
Wake up at 0500. Check the perimeter. My security chief, Big Mike, tells me there's a suspicious speedboat approaching. I go out on the bow with my binoculars. It's just a fisherman. I wave. He waves back. I feel a surge of power. I am the master of this domain. Breakfast is oatmeal, cooked on a propane stove that is currently being pointed at by a .50 caliber machine gun. Delicious. Then I spend my morning coding. I'm working on a decentralized mesh network for the yacht. Why? Because if the satellite internet gets jammed by the Iranians, I need to be able to communicate with my other yachts in the region. We call it the Straits of Trust.
You're building a crypto mesh network in the middle of a war zone?
It's essential. If the power grid goes down, if the banks close, if the governments fall, I need to be able to send a message. Jontavius is still here. Jontavius is still drinking martinis. Jontavius is still Vonu. And in the afternoon, I host guests. Today, we have a visiting diplomat from a country that doesn't exist anymore. He's very stressed. I offer him a drink. He refuses, saying he's afraid of poisoning. I tell him, relax. The only thing trying to kill us is the guy in the helicopter circling overhead. He's probably just taking a selfie.
Is it true that you've named your missiles?
I haven't named the missiles, Vonu. I've named the explosions. That one, that was the surprise party. That one, that was the late fee. And that one, right there, that was the audit.
This is incredible, but let's get serious for a moment. Isn't this dangerous? You're living in a place where people are dying.
Vonu, look at me. I am not indifferent to suffering. I see the suffering, but I also see the freedom of those who refuse to be coerced. The people on the shore, they are trapped. They have to obey the laws of the state. They have to fear the soldiers. They have to live in fear of the bombs. Me? I am free. I have no home to lose. I have no property to protect. I have only my will. And my will is backed by 12 guys with guns who really, really like OxyClean. Is it dangerous? Yes. Is it crazy? Maybe. But is it Vonu?
It's certainly a new definition.
That's the spirit. Vonu isn't a place. It's a mindset. And my mindset says, if you want to take my yacht, you'll have to go through me and my guys and our collective understanding of modern warfare.
So, what's next for the Sovereign Float?
Next week, we're moving north, toward the Strait of Hormuz's northern exit. There's a rumor of a naval blockade forming. I intend to sail right through it. I'll be broadcasting live on the PAZNIA radio network. We'll call it the Strait of Freedom. And if we get hit, well, then we'll know we've truly achieved invulnerability, because we'll be gone. But until then, I'm here. I'm safe. I'm armed. And I'm Vonu.
Jontavius Jensen, thank you for joining us on Vonu Extreme. Please stay safe. And please, for the love of God, don't run out of OxyClean.
Never. We have a lifetime supply. And a lot of guns.
Billy Mays here for the PAZNIA Radio Network Self-Liberation Saturday. Wow, do we have quite a transmission for you today. In just a few minutes, Thane Riddle will kick us off with Cloak and Dagger, the sleekest, sexiest, and most entertaining privacy show in existence. His first hour will be whatever, but soon he'll be joined by Matt Hill, CEO of Start9, a piece of software we are very fond of here. Truly great freedom tech, sure to be a major contributing factor in cleaning up that deep and dirty stain known as coercion. Then, PAZNIA deprogramming. You'll probably hear more from me. You'll hear from my friend the legendary Generally Willy 2, and some ads from robots. Then, as our primetime event for this Self-Liberation Saturday, we'll stick with the crypto anarchy topics and dive into a recent Vonu podcast replay. This one is titled, A Coming Solar-Powered Mesh Network Connected. Bitcoin Reality, featuring Polycarp Nakamoto, Shadrach, and even Thane. From that title and lineup, you already know it's going to be a banger. This is the great Billy Mays here. Make sure to buy and use your OxyClean, and don't turn that dial. This is the PAZNIA Radio Network, our weekly Self-Liberation Saturday transmission. PAZNIA.com/radio. Enjoy, my friends.
Hiding things, harming others, stopping others from harming you. I'm Thane Riddle. This is Cloak and Dagger.
Yo baby, yo baby, yo baby, yo gush bush bush my niggas. This is Thane Riddle punching in for another underpaid shift, but shouting into the ether live from the commercial P.A.Z.s of Ashkababab. You're listening to the PAZNIA Radio Network, the most spectacular treasure in history. We're live on zap.stream. If you're a Bitcoin sell, zap us on zap.stream or Noster, which is a gay way of saying send Lightning Bitcoin. If you're a Monero Chad, send Monero at xmrchat.com/PAZNIA Radio. Tell them Thane sent you and give me free content to read on the show. Actually, give me less than free content to read on the show because you're paying us and then also giving me free content. Go to PAZNIA.com/SimpleXRadio. Get your ass into the PAZNIA Radio Network chat on SimpleX. Leave free content in messages there, and I'll read them on the show in like an hour and a half. Actually, I don't know when it's going to be. Everything's up in the air. I don't know when it's going to be read, but it's going to be read. And at some point in the show, there will be live call-ins at PAZNIA.com/call2. On this week's show, I guess I'm going to finish. Well, the first thing that's going to happen actually is the interview with fucking Matt Hill, the CEO of Start9. But then I'm going to do a Building the Second Realms thing, which is finishing the Toolshed, the Freedom Framework for tool makers. And I didn't actually write the fear-mongering warning of the upcoming threat of AI dystopia and the urgent need for insurrectionary agorism, but I expect that topic will come up with Matt anyway, so whatever. Go fuck yourself. I don't care. Oh yeah, there's going to be news too eventually, but anyway, Matt Hill's here now, so do you want to say hi? The interview's happening now at the beginning of the show for some reason.
Hey guys, give me a second here. I'm getting my mic hooked up so the sound's better.
I would expect nothing less. That's the kind of show we run around here. Bar is very low.
Good. Glad to hear it. Yeah, I got a lot going on, so I'm just getting settled in here. Sorry, I'm a couple minutes behind. Give me a second here.
You should get on cam and then like clearly be on your phone, like answering text, or something like that. The audience appreciates the unrefined nature of the show. I'm told.
Well, I'm not very refined, so that should work out fine.
Good.
All right, let's see. Let me tap the mic here and see if is that coming through the right spot?
I didn't hear a tapping.
Oh, well, that's not good. Hold on. Because the audio is coming through this headset, but let's see.
You're using the wrong microphone.
Settings, audio.
This mic's not horrible, mind you. Doesn't sound super horrible.
I think I got it. All right, how's that?
Oh, did you tap it again?
I did.
I mean, I heard a little something. I don't know if it was loud enough to be the mic that I'm hearing it from. Okay. I'm hearing a little something, but it's not like loud like you would expect it to be.
Yeah. Give me a second.
No, please. This is good. This is good stuff. This is what people tune in for on Cloak and Dagger.
Yeah, do you guys do a live show, or are we going to record, or how do you want to?
We are live right now. Yeah.
Great.
And
that's fantastic.
That's what. Trust me, you're in the right place.
All right, let me try one other setting here, and if it doesn't work, then we'll just go with what we have because you said it's okay. So
it doesn't sound horrible.
All right, that definitely didn't work. All right, this is what we're gonna go with. I think it's right. So let's do it. All right.
Oh wait, I just heard it change. Actually.
Cool. All
right,
maybe
now
close that window.
It worked. You see, sometimes in life, it's when you give up. That's when you succeed.
In order to win, you must lose. Some deep wisdom there.
Yeah, that's like Tao Te Ching type stuff, you know. So yeah, you
Well,
can. This
thanks
is
for
not
having me,
hell.
guys. Yep.
Thank you for coming on. You're a big name. You're one of my favorite guests already.
Is that real?
I mean, yeah. I can't. I mean, we'll see how the interview actually goes, but
okay, yeah.
in theory,
but
yeah.
it's cool. All right, so yeah, what do you want to talk about, guys?
Well, tell them who you are, in case they don't know.
I am a co-founder, current CEO of Start9. Start9 makes freedom tech. We make an operating system called StartOS that is a Linux distro that makes it easy to self-host, so to run your own server, so that you don't have to use other people's servers, right? Just basic stuff. Should be basic stuff. It turns out it's pretty difficult to explain and pretty radical, actually. But yeah, I mean, we think people should use computers in ways that are, provably and irrevocably private and under their control. You're welcome to use intermediaries and custodians from time to time if it makes sense and you've done, the calculus and understand the trade-offs. But we think the default should be, connect your phones and laptops to your own server and do all the things you would normally do, except through your own server. So we make that possible for normal people through our custom operating system, which is fully open source and free. Anyone can download it and install it on existing software that they own. No need to, do business with us. You just use what we've built. We also make a router operating system. This is new. We have not actually begun distributing routers yet, but like our server operating system, the router OS is also free and open source. And so you can download it and flash an existing router that you have. Not all hardware will be compatible. And this router is maximally powerful, super easy to use, gives normal people, advanced networking capabilities. Routers are not traditionally thought of as like cool, exciting products. They're just kind of magic internet boxes that sit in your house. But we think routers are very cool. And we think once people understand what you can do with them and feel capable of actually doing those things, that they'll think they're cool too. So we're hoping to, kind of invigorate the router industry. It needs some disruption. It hasn't really changed in 25 years. And we think we have a novel, really cool product that is just now finishing. It's done. I mean, a couple of us are already using it for our home Wi-Fi routers and works great. And like I said, super powerful, super easy to use. And without, getting into other things, there's a lot more. I realize I probably overstepped the initial question. So that's who I am, and that's what we do.
I'm very
from a high
lazy,
level.
so I often just let guests talk for as long as they want to.
Well, be careful with that with me.
No, that's good. That's good. Means I don't have to do as much. So yeah, to clarify, with StartOS, there's all kinds of fucking server software that's easy to install in StartOS, right? Like, what are some popular examples of that?
Well, sorry. There's like things
like
to
fucking
install
Bitcoin
on StartOS.
nodes,
Like, what can you do with it? Gotcha.
Well, like
okay.
Different kinds of servers software.
Yeah, services.
Yeah.
I find the language really important because otherwise people they spin out of control because it's already kind of a novel thing, right? Like, what do you mean run my own server, right? And so we even avoid using the word apps because apps there's this brain space for the word app that people have, and it's things that they install on their phones and laptops, right? So we avoid the word app. We try to avoid the word server because server generally refers to like the physical device or the VPS. And so, for lack of a better term, which is actually accurate from a technical standpoint. We call the things that you install onto the server services. And there are three types of services, broadly speaking. One are web applications. These are things that you would be able to visit in a browser, right? The service is actually serving a website. Number two is an API. So not a human interface, right? Not something that you're going to be able to visit in the browser, but something that other applications, other computers could utilize. And the third is a node, which is a service that connects on a peer-to-peer network to other similar services that abide by the same protocol, right? So you have web apps, APIs, and nodes are the three types of services that you can install on your server. Some of the more popular ones are like a Bitcoin node. You can run a Monero node that's distributed on our community registry, and we can get into how we've built out the registry ecosystem because it needs to be decentralized and censorship resistant. Otherwise, we will end up becoming compromised. So we've taken measures to make sure that we have no control over the distribution of software beyond just offering a convenience. But anyway, that was a small digression. Bitcoin nodes, Lightning nodes, those would be in the category of peer-to-peer nodes, right? Some examples of web apps and APIs would be things like Nextcloud, which is a full, self-hosted Google Workspace alternative where you can do everything from file storage and sharing, which includes photos, videos. You can do chat. You can do your contacts and calendars and appointments. All of that stuff can be done through Nextcloud. It's kind of a killer app. Some other ones are like Vault Warden is an extremely popular app that a lot of people like to install, and that's to manage your own passwords. You can run a Matrix server for group chat and community management, Jellyfin for your own personal media server, Cirx if you want to run your own web search engine, right? So instead of going to Google and typing something in the search bar, you can go to your own personal search engine, which then uses Google and others under the hood, but effectively wrapping them and removing metadata so that you're not blowing your private metadata all over the internet when you do your searches. Home Assistant, Olama, VLLM, Open Web UI. You can run Datum if you want to mine to your own to your own node, and solo mine so that if you hit a block, it's all just off the grid KYC free stuff. You can run a Nostr relay. You can run a Jitsi server, right? We're doing this call presumably on a Jitsi server. It looks like it's on the
yeah, we
not
had our own,
self-hosted
but
one, right?
it broke and we are being lazy, I think, about fixing it.
Well, good news for you is that on StartOS, you can install and be fully up and running with a kind of bulletproof Jitsi server in about 5 minutes. And I'd be happy to demo that for you guys today as well. So like I do all my team and family personal, video calls using a self-hosted Jitsi that's running on a server in my house that is actually being reverse tunneled through a VPS in order to obfuscate my home IP address from anyone that I talk to. And the entire setup for that end to end, and I'm not kidding, is about 5 minutes, and it's bulletproof. Works great. You have the video bridge media server, the turn server, Jitsi itself, all being reverse tunneled through a VPS for privacy, fully self-hosted, end to end, the entire deal, 5 minutes. I'm not kidding. I can show you.
How are you fucking registering a VPS in less than 5 minutes?
Well, the VPS is already registered in the timeline that I'm giving.
Oh, okay.
Right? Like this assumes you have a VPS. Sorry.
Right. Okay.
Like that depending on whether you have an account with some VPS provider, that could take you anywhere from 1 minute to provision a new server to
it's not too hard,
15 minutes to do the entire sign up process. It kind of depends.
Takes more time to fucking pick a provider than to
Correct.
actually get one.
Yeah. And that matters a lot, actually. Like if you're gonna get a VPS for, a simple reverse tunnel situation, which we call Start Tunnel, by the way. It's a open source virtual private router. It's a term that I coined, actually. So we call it a VPR. There's nothing else like it. Nothing in the world. We invented this because none of the other networking technologies satisfied what we were looking for, which basically boiled down to this. I want to use a router to accomplish two things. One, VPN access, right? I want to use, like, my home router has a VPN server on it. And so I can use that to access my LAN remotely. I can go anywhere in the world and access my server or other devices on my home network remotely via a VPN on my router. The second thing that you use your router for when it comes to hosting is public internet access. You need to forward specific ports and open up, create specific firewall rules for IPv6. And those are the two things that you would use your home router for in terms of hosting things, right? Either private access using a VPN or public access via port forwarding and firewall rules. And we had this need, which was, well, I don't want to use my router for this. I want to use a virtual router. I want to use a VPS to do this, because by using my router, I'm exposing my home IP address. And it's possible that I'll want to create multiple port forwarding rules for the same port to forward to different servers, which means I need two routers, right? Because in any given router, you can only forward port 443 to one location. So we needed a second router, and we needed it to be virtual, right? We needed it to be running on a VPS, because in many cases, the thing that you use to expose things to the internet, you don't want to be revealing your home IP address. And so we invented a virtual router, a virtual private router that you can install on a VPS. It doesn't do everything that a home router can do, obviously, because home routers, in large part are creating Wi-Fi networks, and creating Wi-Fi on a VPS makes absolutely no sense, right? Doesn't even have a Wi-Fi card to do that. So it's not going to do everything that a home router can do, but it does a couple things really, really well. And those things are, you can create VPN servers, as many as you want. You can create as many subnets as you want. Virtual LANs. You can add devices to those virtual LANs so that they can communicate with each other from anywhere in the world as though they were in the same house. And lastly is you can forward ports. You actually create port forwarding rules on the VPS through the UI that we created, we call it Start Tunnel. And you have a second router. So like my server, I have a few servers, but one of my servers has 3 routers. It has my home router, a Start Tunnel instance, and another Start Tunnel instance, so that I can publish different things to the internet without anyone knowing that they're all running on the same server, because they're exposing different IP addresses. So it looks like it's 3 different servers, even though it's one server. Okay, that was a lot.
That's pretty neat. I didn't know about Start Tunnel. How does that work exactly? Like is Start Tunnel something you like install on a fucking Debian VPS or something? Like what do you support?
Yeah, it's meant to run on Debian 13. Technically, It'll run on Debian 12 Plus, but we recommend 13 because we don't intend to maintain support for anything less. It at present does work though, but we're not going to guarantee that it will continue to work. So anyway, yeah, you get a VPS, you provision it with Debian 13, you run a single command, single curl command, and Start Tunnel will be installed. It'll auto-configure the VPS for DNS, for firewall rules, for everything it needs. It basically turns the VPS into a router. And
so
it's the
like
only thing that...
script.
Correct. Yep. Yeah, a script that we just host. It's, on GitHub. You could build from source if you want. Start Tunnel is MIT licensed. We built it. We gave it away. It's great. Works wonderfully. So yeah, it's the only thing that should be running on the VPS though. This is not like you share it. It turns the VPS into a router. It's totally novel. And what we like so much about it is that there's these other networking technologies that are super weird. Like they're awesome, they work really well, but they're weird, like Tailscale and NetBird, right? Like they're leveraging WireGuard in unique ways to create, virtual spaces for devices to interact, but they don't like fit well into the mental model of even people who understand networking, right? Like they're weird,
Yeah.
and they have these centralized discovery servers
Yeah.
that then connect your devices peer to
Yeah. It's
peer.
disgusting.
And we were like, why not just create another router? Like, why not just put a
Yeah.
router in the sky and use it for yourself,
That's
right?
that's
And
exactly the way I've been thinking about stuff like Tailscale. Like, I just don't get it. I'm like, I was thinking like you, like, yeah, why don't we just have a remote router? But I had no idea you guys did that. That's a very cool idea.
yeah, it was. We do a lot, and we don't. To be honest, we don't do a lot of big announcements or anything like that. I'm a big believer that if you build really cool shit and you talk about it in at the appropriate times, right? Like if you guys are talking to me right now, and I'm going to tell you about what we built because that's what I'm here for. That it'll organically get around, and the people who appreciate it will talk about it, and that you don't need a big marketing team, and you don't need to blow things out of proportion. Just build cool shit and tell good people about it, and that's how you build an organic brand that people can trust, and that's what we
Yeah,
want to be.
hopefully. Yeah, I mean, like Start9's definitely been at the top of my radar for years. So if your goal is to be noticed by me, it's working.
That's
So
great.
as long as you guys are making enough money and stuff, that's fine with me, I guess.
Yeah, we're surviving for sure. It's actually been a really cool last 12 to 18 months. We've really hit a curve and begun to grow much faster than we were. And prospects look good for that. I mean, it's hard to grow a business in a open source world, right? Like everything we make is open source. So no, like we spend all of our time building shit that people can just use for free.
Yeah.
and so why pay us, right? And the answer is just convenience, warranty, and support, right? So we make it really
Yeah.
convenient to get up and running. We warranty our hardware. It's quality hardware. And we provide incredible, excellent customer support. And people want to support us anyway. So, there's kind of four
Yeah.
reasons to buy from us, and people do, and they are more and more these days.
Yeah. Now, I heard you say something, kind of gloss over something that piqued my interest. Did you say that you guys are you hinting that you guys have a distributed registry of Monero nodes?
No. What we have, so we have a marketplace. All right. That's what it's called. If you open up StartOS, there's a tab called Marketplace, and that's where you can go to find software to install onto your server. Think of it as like the App Store, right? Google Play Store. But within the marketplace, there are different registries. So the analogy here would be like going to a mall, and there's lots of different stores in the mall. And so Start9 as a company runs two stores in the mall. We have the Start9 store, which is our branded flagship store where we distribute software that we as a team, as a company, as individuals get behind in every way imaginable. We think the software is fucking awesome. We vet it, right? Like we make sure it is good software that works well. We personally take responsibility for the StartOS packages, right? Because on StartOS, you have the upstream software like Nextcloud or a Bitcoin node, right? But those things have to be packaged for StartOS. StartOS isn't just Linux, right? It's a very special kind of Linux that produces incredible end user experiences that make these things easy to use. And that's not magic. It's accomplished via the packaging process. So, for example, using a Bitcoin node on StartOS is not at all the same as using a Bitcoin node on a Mac, Windows, or other Linux machine. It's a completely different experience. It's a much better experience. It's the same software that's running upstream, but it is endowed with all sorts of convenient and powerful features, right? Like the ability to change settings, monitor health, run scripts, manage dependencies, etc. There's so much that you can do, um, so that you don't have to be a Linux sysadmin, right? Like, so many of these services are like, oh, in order to configure Nextcloud, you just have to SSH in and open config.php and put in all these, function definitions. And if you like miss a space or add a comma where one doesn't belong, the whole thing is going to explode and it won't even tell you why. And then once it's up and running, if you want to index your photos, you got to SSH back in and run this OCC command, and it'll fire off this background task that you have no insight into. And if it fails, you won't even know about it. And when it's done, you'll have no way of knowing either. But on StartOS, this is just like a button. It's just like, configure my node or configure my server and run, index my photos. And then you get nice little like spinners and progress bars. And I mean, we've taken the Linux sysadmin experience, which is a highly technical, very time-consuming endeavor, and just brought it into buttons on a screen for normal people. And it's really that simple. But okay, that was a quick diversion. Back to the marketplace. We take responsibility for those packages, for all of the services that are on the Start9 store, right? The Start9 store is like the default place to shop because everything there is good. Everything there is maintained by us. We vouch for it. We recommend it. We are in contact with the upstream development teams so that if there's any bugs, we are on the fast track to getting those bugs resolved. We support those services in our channels. I mean, like technical support. So if somebody writes into Start9 support and is like, hey, how do I use Nextcloud? We know, like we're experts at Nextcloud. So in other words, we are sort of becoming the customer support department for dozens and dozens of software teams out there and companies that don't provide their own customer service. Because to be honest, a lot of them are broke open source, development teams that don't have the money or the capacity to provide support for their own software. So we're like, well, we will, as long as someone's running it on StartOS, we'll provide support for it. And so that's how we treat the Start9 store, right? That's the recommended place to shop. However, we can't do that for every service under the sun, right? Like we have limited capacity too. And so we have the community registry is the other one. And the community registry is for everything else. Now, just because something is on the community registry, it doesn't mean anything other than all the things I just listed can't come true, right? So for instance, there are things on the community registry that I personally think are awesome and that I think are great pieces of software and that actually work really well. But maybe I just don't have the staff to support them in tech support. Like we don't understand them, or the software is too early stage for us to confidently recommend to our customer base, or maybe the software is controversial and it's not something we want to get involved with at the moment, right? So
what's
there's
an
a
example
lot
of
of
something controversial?
things like Monero, for example.
That's
Right?
controversial.
So Monero, it's controversial from a business standpoint.
Oh,
Right.
yeah.
So
For pussies.
Start9 has a lot of inputs as an entity. Like I'm trying to balance a lot of stuff here, right? Like I'm trying to navigate the, I mean, it's crazy. It sounds, I'm trying to help like facilitate the emergence of a new computing paradigm in the world. Like that's my overarching goal here. And that's where all roads lead. But on the way there, we have to make really interesting decisions that most people don't realize about funding that, about and doing so without compromising our integrity, without pivoting into a SaaS model, without taking money from the wrong people. Like building
Yeah.
a company with integrity is a hero's journey, and perfection is unattainable. And so there are times in the process when I have to make really tough decisions and not get something I want so that I can get something bigger that I need, right? And sometimes that's very hard to explain to people. And there's so many inputs that I actually can't and won't provide all the details. But as part of our, if anyone wants to check it out, we have like an actual blog post about our stance regarding the registries, right? And what it says is this: if something is on the community registry, it doesn't check all the boxes for being on the Start9 registry. It could check 8 out of 9 of them, but it doesn't check them all. And we're not going to tell you which one it is. And I stand by that.
Well, yeah, but what I asked you was, are any of them distributed? Or is it just a thing where like you pick your own curator, you could add another registry if you wanted to, in theory?
Correct. Right. Yes. So anyone can host a registry, right? Start9 has 2 registries. We have the Start9 registry and the community registry. But anyone can run a registry, and it's just a URL, and it can be an onion URL. Like you can run registries anonymously. And so all you have to do is tell people, either, publicly and reveal your identity, or anonymously in various ways that you could leak it, what your registry URL is. And then anyone can just go into StartOS, go to the marketplace, and add a custom registry and install software from you instead of from us.
Are you aware of any notable third-party registries?
There's a couple. Yeah. I don't think they're like publishing them for public consumption, though. I think that they're using them for their own circles, their friends, their family, their
Oh.
business, stuff like that, right? And which I think is a really good and interesting way for that to bootstrap, because as it stands, the registry is an extremely trusted entity at the moment. The registry can ship you malware, right?
Right.
When you install something from the Start9 registry, you are 100% trusting Start9. You have no idea what we shipped you. No idea. You can't, right? It's impossible. So if you don't trust us, don't install stuff from our registry. Instead, build it from source. It only takes a couple minutes, and install it that way. Or spin up your own registry, set up some, workflows in a self-hosted Git or even GitHub, and build them automatically. Distribute them to your own registry, install them from yourself, be your own provider, right? Like we try to make this as easy as possible, but the registries are extremely trusted because that's where the binaries are coming from. And in the future, the very near future, actually, in 041, the next big release of StartOS, which isn't here yet because 040 is just now coming out, we are introducing a concept called trusted keys, where
Ooh.
instead of trusting the registry,
Yeah.
you will go into your StartOS settings and actually paste n number of public keys that you trust. So let's say there's 6 people in the world that you trust. You're going to paste their 6 public keys, and you're going to be like, these 6 keys I trust. And you can set a quorum, right? An arbitrary quorum. So you could say, StartOS, do not install anything unless it is signed by 3 out of the 6 of these keys, or 4 out of the 6, or 6 out of 6. If you're like, I will not install anything unless all 6 of these people have signed off on it. And then if you try to, so you can go to any registry anywhere, doesn't matter now, the registry is no longer a trusted entity. You can install the software. StartOS will check to see whether that binary has been signed by the requisite quorum of signatures. And if it has not, it will block the installation, which of course you could then bypass, right? You could but it'll block it by default. But you could be like, nope, override, I want to install it anyway. Of course, we're not going to like prevent you from installing software if you want to override your own security setting. But by default, it will reject the install. Does that make sense?
Totally. And that's super cool. I think that's a great idea. Because yeah, I
Yeah,
mean that's
thanks.
the whole way it's supposed to work is like developer signatures and things like this. This is a whole other thing though you're talking about here, not just developer signatures, but quorums of arbitrary people, which
Yeah.
is kind of interesting.
Yeah, it's
I like
not, I
that.
don't think there's any real precedent for this. I
I
mean,
don't think so, no.
in sort of indirectly, or people do this, right? Like somebody will download a piece of software and see who signed it. So informally, I guess people do this, but I don't think it's ever been formalized into an operating system.
Yeah, well, I mean, besides, like Linux repos, um, verifying signatures,
Yeah,
but
I don't know if quorums, but it's not usually
no
user
one's done a
driven.
quorum.
Yeah,
Yeah. No, never. I've never heard of that.
yeah.
That's pretty cool.
And we think
Does
what will emerge from this is not only uh, a proliferation of alternative registries, but also the emergence of trusted people, right? Like when you combine things like, self-hosted registries, potentially Nostr, where you can link public keys to an identity over time that has, reputation attached, that we we foresee certain people emerging as like very trusted individuals in the self-hosted world, especially around StartOS, right? Like there's just gonna be people that people trust, and it'll be interesting to see who they are and how they emerge, whether they're anonymous or known entities in meat space or not. I don't know. Probably
Yeah, I
both.
like that. That's pretty cool. Does StartOS do anything to make it more user-friendly to compile stuff?
Yeah, it's super easy to build S9 PKs, right? S9 PKs is the package format that gets installed onto StartOS, and every single service, whether it's on the Start9 registry or the community registry, is open source, and they're highly, highly conformant. I put an enormous amount of work in over the last few years of building not only an SDK, right, where people can trivially now package anything for StartOS. It's very easy now with agentic support, right? Like if
Huh.
you're using an LLM and you're following our packaging guide, I can package up new software, never before seen software that, well, sorry, the software exists, right? But it's not packaged for StartOS. Like take, I don't know, some piece of software that you like, some budgeting tool or some node or whatever, and it's not available on the marketplace. No registries have it. It's very easy at this point for even totally non-technical people to package software for StartOS because we've made it so formalized, so conventional. It's completely type safe. It's a TypeScript SDK. The documentation around it is perfect. And so LLMs can basically just rip it out. You just tell Claude, like, yo, go package this software for StartOS. And it's like, here's your S9 PK or here's your package. And then you publish it, obviously, right, to some Git application like GitHub or Git, GitForge, whatever you want. And then other people can just go to that thing and run a single make command. So if you clone a Git repository, StartOS package repository, clone it and run make. Literally, just type in the word make and hit enter, and an S9PK will pop out. Obviously, there's some environmental prerequisites there, like your machine, your actual computer needs to have, make installed. It needs to have start CLI installed. There's some things that you have to install, but that's a one-time setup. And from then on, you can build from source and sideload, to be honest, in like a couple extra minutes. So you never have to install anything from the registry if you don't want. You can just build from source and sideload all day long.
Man, I'm a little impressed with how you guys have thought of bottlenecks everywhere. Like, for example, packaging something for StartOS. That's a bottleneck. You made that accessible. That's really cool. I think that's exactly the kind of thinking that we need in the world of fucking engineering, freedom tech, or counter engineering, as I like to
Well, if
say.
we want people to use it, right? Like freedom tech has always been here. It's always been possible to run your own server and install open source software on it and connect to it from anywhere in the world using VPNs and Tor, but nobody does it because it's too much friction, right? It's too much. It's way too easy to just download, some cloud SaaS application onto your phone and use it. And so the battleground is convenience, but it also has to match it has to match or beat from a security, privacy, and cost perspective as well. And obviously, when you self-host stuff, all of those are inherently improved, right? It's always
Yeah.
more private. It's always more secure, always costs less. So really the only thing that we needed to level up on was the user experience and the convenience. And that's what we do.
Yeah. Well, fucking keep up the good work. If anyone wants to call in, you can call in PAZNIA.com/call to. I'll try and see if anyone wrote any questions in the chat. But in the meantime, well, shit, I guess I'll scroll on mic. Why not? I'll just scroll
sure.
for a little bit because I'm very poorly prepared for every show. So like I'm often last minute writing stuff for it or whatever. And so this time I didn't even bother to look at the chat the whole time.
Just winging stuff is great.
Yeah. Well, it better be because that's all I got. The FCC are a bunch of micro dick cunts. That's something someone said in the chat.
Yeah, we could talk about the FCC.
I mean, they didn't say it for you, but you can if you want.
Yeah, I mean, they're saying that because I was talking about a router product and the FCC de facto, right, just banned new routers in the United States. That's why they're saying
Shit.
that.
I didn't hear
that?
about that. No.
So here's what they did. Okay. In the past, if you wanted to make a device that used the air, okay, that had a Wi-Fi module, for example, it doesn't need to be a router, just anything that uses Wi-Fi. It needs an FCC certification, right? The FCC owns the air around you, and you can't use it to send signals without their permission. And they made this pretty easy to do. It was pretty trivial to get an FCC certification. Unless you were doing something really weird or needed like some spectrum that is not normal, right? Something weird, you're going to get your certification. No big deal. And then I think on April 10th or something, I don't know, a few weeks ago, with zero warning, they come out and say, the Department of War has advised us to no longer issue certifications for any Wi-Fi bearing device that is foreign made. It has to be manufactured in the USA, or we will not issue a certification. I personally am not aware of, I mean, I'm sure it exists, right? And I'd be happy for someone to give me an example, but I personally am not aware of any computing device that is US made.
At least not mass produced, yeah.
Yeah, sure. I mean, there might be some like niche things, but like basically, so what this means is that the FCC was like, Wi-Fi device. Wi-Fi is now illegal in the United States, right? Now, if a device already has a certification, you can continue selling it. So if you're a business and you have a Wi-Fi router for sale in the US and it already has its certification, you're grandfathered in. You can continue to sell that device. But when you run out of stock, right, or you try to update it, and we're not just talking about the hardware, we're talking about the firmware. You're not even allowed to update the firmware of your router because that needs a certification. So
Well, that's
basically, what's
not
happened here is
enforceable.
all innovation in Wi-Fi based computing hardware has been halted unless that innovation is taking place 100% domestically. Now, what constitutes foreign manufacturing versus domestic manufacturing is also a bit debatable, but ultimately it comes down to this: is any meaningful or major component of the device made outside the United States? Or was the device designed outside of the United States? If either of those is true, roughly speaking, the FCC is not going to give you a certification, which means you cannot sell your device.
Well, thanks for bringing that up because that's really something that should have been in my news section later, but it's not there. So I didn't I didn't notice that somehow.
Yeah. So what we're doing, because this directly affects us, is, we have a Chinese manufactured, like every device in the world, router. If you want to check it out, it's at router.start9.com. It is the most open router possible. We have the most open hardware router in the world. It is based on a RISC-V chip and
Ooh,
architecture. So it's not even using x86 and ARM, which are both closed proprietary architectures. The architecture is open source. The board, the literal motherboard of the router schematics are on GitHub. So it's an open source
nice.
board that anyone could print for themselves. The firmware is completely open source, except for 2 early stage boot partitions, 2 boot blobs that we are actively working to extricate and replace with open source alternatives. We have no reason to believe that these 2 early stage blobs are malicious or bad in any way. It's just an artifact of the fact that everything on Earth is closed and it's really, really hard to get a fully open boot stack. But otherwise, the firmware is completely open source.
Is this like a U-boot kind of thing?
OpenWRT and RISC-V have their own boot stack, open boot stack, SBI it's called. So it's sort of the core boot for RISC-V. I don't know if you're familiar with core boot.
Yeah.
So RISC-V has its own flavor of core boot, and it's called SBI, and that's what we use. So then the operating system is based on OpenWRT. OpenWRT is, a extremely powerful router OS, the most powerful. In fact, there's nothing you can't do. I'll put it that way. OpenWRT is like anything you can imagine doing with a network, you can do it with OpenWRT. The problem with OpenWRT is that it is impossible to use, in part because it's so powerful, but also in part because a bunch of super geeks coded it and who have no concept of how to productize something. I use that term affectionately because I am one of those people, but I also know how to productize things into, coherent user experiences. And so what we did was we took OpenWRT and just made it better, right? We forked it. We built on top of it. We added a custom GUI to it. We built abstractions that are not present in stock OpenWRT, like concepts and experiences that just are huge total departures from how people would normally use OpenWRT. And I think we turned it into the most user-friendly, easiest to use router operating system in the world. But it also has all of the power of OpenWRT. So we managed to sort of have our cake and eat it too, right? We managed to create a fully open source, from hardware to firmware to operating system, maximally powerful yet extremely easy to use router. So I think we have the best router in the world. I do. And even if you don't buy the router from us, again, it's just an operating system. You can just flash any existing router that would ordinarily support OpenWRT. You can flash it with Start.WRT, and that's our fork of
The hardware
OpenWRT.
you're using sounds quite appealing, though. Who's building it? Who's
badass.
your partner?
So Spacemint makes the chip, and then we're working with Deep Computing. You can look them up to actually do the encasement and a lot of the kind of layer 2 logistics of getting a piece of hardware built and shipped and supplied. And then we are doing the final assembly here in Colorado. So, but the RISC-V chip is the K1 from Spacemint. Deep Computing is a really cool company that makes RISC-V laptops.
So this is like you kind of commissioned this yourselves. Is that right?
Yeah.
Huh.
It's
that the
a
first
stepping
time
stone towards printing
Start-
our own boards, which is what's coming next.
Oh. Is this the first time Start9 has actually commissioned their own custom hardware?
Yeah. Everything, all our servers have just been white labeled devices.
Yeah.
And this is
Right,
kind of white labeled, right? It's not like we designed a custom board here. We just put things together, right? We composed existing things. But again, we are working towards actual in-house fabrication, custom servers and routers. We're going to be doing our own boards. We're moving completely in a RISC-V direction.
You might end up being the first router manufacturer to be eligible for a certification from the FTC.
Oh,
under
well,
the new rules.
let me round out that story just a little before we move on. So naturally, there is an exemption path, right? So the FCC says we're not issuing new certifications unless you get an exemption. And so guess who got exemptions on like day 2?
Fucking Cisco or something? I don't know.
Yeah, Netgear, Cisco. Yeah.
Oh,
Right.
well.
So the big boys, because they were probably the ones lobbying for this in the first place. Like all things crony capitalism, this
protect them from competition.
it's designed to squeeze out competition and
Are you able
protect monopolies.
to keep doing the interview for like more than an hour?
Yeah, sure. I can go.
Okay, cool. Because there's going to be a break soon that we cannot stop. The robots will take over in 5 minutes, and then I'll be back with you, and I want to talk to you. I want to get you talking about AI and stuff, because I know you have some good takes on that.
Okay.
But shit, I don't know. What else should I ask you about? Fucking, I feel like there are things I forgot because I was just letting you talk, being lazy.
Like I said, I can do that. So.
Well, I mean, that's really. Oh, you can start the ad break. Well, why don't you just start the ad break now, then? We're gonna have an ad break. Robots are gonna tell you jokes. We're gonna be back with Matt Hill.
How long does this go? Do I have time to run off for a minute?
Was it like? Yeah, it's like 5. Was it like 5-10 minutes?
Great.
7 or 8 minutes.
I'll see you in 5.
Okay. Bye. Now, when it comes to weird alternative health shit, you may have heard of Brown's gas, boss, aka molecular hydrogen. Technically, actually, molecular hydrogen is just one part of what Brown's gas is, but whatever. It's a kind of wellness treatment used by health professionals and weirdos all over the world, both mainstream and otherwise. They got gas bars in Japan and shit. Big body of research showing that this therapy likely helps with pretty much everything. cancer, diabetes, heart disease, pretty much every organ system in the body. Over 1,500 papers, therapeutic potential for 170 diseases. In broad strokes, it works by fucking electrolyzing water into hydrogen and oxygen, and then you breathe that shit and you drink the water that it's bubbled through. And these gases are, negatively charged and shit, and they get into every cell of your body. It's probably how magical healing springs work, at least partially. The water is hydrogen enriched. Now, the PAZNIA Department of Health and Wellness has run R&D on these machines for about 4 years, and the top machine being recommended right now is the Lord's Hydrofix by Holy Hydrogen. And can you believe it? We have a coupon code for a product that isn't on our own fucking store. There's a first time for everything, so save a fat chunk of change on the Department of Health and Wellness's top recommended machine, and support Cloak and Dagger at the same time by heading on over to holyhydrogen.com and inputting coupon code VONU100 to get $100 off your Lord's Hydrofix. You're going to want to do your own research on this. The Molecular Hydrogen Institute website can help you with that. There's you can use whatever resources you want. There's a huge body of research on this. You know as well as I do, hopefully, that there are a lot of bullshit health tonics and gimmicks being hawked out there. The Brown's gas is one of the truest, most powerful tonic treatments out there in the world by far. When you learn for yourself how much of a health and wellness bombshell molecular hydrogen truly is, you're going to see why having your own machine is truly worth the investment. These machines are a bit costly, okay? I'm not going to lie to you, but they last for ages, and they may help you save on health costs in the long run. Nothing's a bigger deal than your health, so pony the fuck up. Go to holyhydrogen.com. Use coupon code VONU100. Victor Oscar November Uniform 100. Get $100 off.
Hey guys, Scott here for Liberty Under Attack Publications. Looking for a Liberty-focused publisher? Liberty Under Attack publishes books and strategy guides for individuals looking to increase their personal freedom. They assist authors through the entire publishing process: proofreading, editing, cover designs, paperback and Kindle formatting, and full audiobook narration and post-production. Tell them Scott sent you and get 20% off a full service deal. To get some one-of-a-kind books or for more information, visit libertyunderattack.com.
Liberty Under Attack Publications is your source for all things self-liberation. Featuring high-quality agorist and anarchist fiction, Paul Rosenberg's A Lodging of Wayfaring Men, and his The Breaking Dawn are two great starts. The Brushfire series by Matthew Wojtecki is stellar, #Agora, and more. Save Bitcoin or fiat by buying a bundle, such as the Strategy Sample Pack, wherein you can explore a few different strategies to the problem of freedom. At Current, Vonu, Ben Stone's Vision, and Second Realm, book on strategy. And once you're inspired to take action in your own life, head on over to the Ghost Pads and Privacy Tools tab to get yourself a Ghost Phone and Ghost Pad, and secure your communications from both the public and private spies. Stock up your home apothecary with items from Aura's Apothecary, Black Drawing Salve, Comfrey Salve, Natural Insect Repellent, and much more. And finally, the newest edition, PAZNIA Farms Canned Goods, Cowboy Candy, Pickles, Salsa, etc. Of course, all of the canned goods and the apothecary items are made with the highest quality ingredients, some grown here at the homestead. Head on over to libertyunderattack.com, again libertyunderattack.com, to check out our full catalog or to place your order today. Bitcoin accepted and preferred. Email if you'd like to pay with XMR, shane@libertyunderattack.com, or if you'd like to place an international order. Again, libertyunderattack.com. Liberty Under Attack Publications. Share your story, find your freedom.
And now, back to Cloak and Dagger with host Thane Riddle.
We're back with Matt Hill, co-founder and CEO of Start9, and we have 2 comments from the chat from Fakhdul Magdul Mendahi. Comment: all very cool things. Anything in regard to CNC machines or software-defined radios? Thank you for your work.
Not really, no. I mean, we're not working on anything that would fit those 2 categories.
Well, he's got another one for you. Comment.
Cool.
When my local LLM started asking me about fursuits, I immediately closed the VM and deleted the OS. Should not have trained the poor thing on anime and manga. What is the coolest thing AI can do or will do?
Okay. Well, I mean, yeah, let's talk about AI here because it needs to be talked about. Things are happening in the world that are big, historically unprecedented big. So let's see. My take on AI has changed dramatically over the past year, as I'm sure many people's has. But, you know, I learned to code back in like 2015 is when I started writing code. And I'm pretty crazy. Like I'm kind of a crazy guy. And when I really get on something, I have like hyper focus disorder, if you want to think of it that way. Like everything else goes away. And I got lost for, like 2 years in basically just becoming a really good developer. All day, every day, all night, every night, just dreaming in code, banging my head against the wall, just was ferociously making sure that I had this skill, this tool, because I had decided back then that it was essential for my survival and my life's purpose and my goals. And so I just that's all I did. And I only say this to say that, as somebody who's been coding, full stack stuff for, I don't know, 11 years now, I have some degree of perspective here. Like I know what I'm talking about. And I am here to say that like the vibe coding stuff is real. I didn't believe it at first. And it's very difficult for me to overstate the degree of disruption that is coming, that has already begun and is still yet to come. I didn't think that we would hit this level of efficacy and intelligence in AI in my lifetime. I thought that I would grow old before we saw what we are already seeing, and yet is still accelerating. And so I've had to dramatically reorient my worldview over the last 12 months. I have not had anything close to this degree of kind of disorientation, at least since I discovered Bitcoin and had to kind of like integrate that into my world, right? Like how I saw the war unfolding over time, right? Like Bitcoin changed how I thought about politics on Earth and power structures on Earth. I saw Bitcoin as a way of dramatically disempowering, some of the most powerful institutions in the world. And so it's a new technology. It's a new tool in the fight. And when AI really came of age in the past year, really, I've had a much more dramatic reorientation, because this isn't just disrupting banks and governments. fundamentally what AI is doing right now, and I don't know if a lot of people think of it this way, because you can cherry pick all sorts of superficial things that AI is disrupting, has disrupted, and will continue to do. And all of these things, when I say superficial, I don't mean unimportant. I mean surface level, okay? Like AI is going to wipe out the software development industry, right? That is superficial, right? It's going to wipe out an entire industry, and tens of thousands of people who were in previously almost a form of aristocracy, right? Software engineers are being wiped out like with a brush of a hand right now. That is a surface level, superficial disruption. What's fundamentally at stake here, at the deepest level, is human purpose. That is what's being disrupted, right? The internet disrupted the telecom industry, and it disrupted information systems on Earth. That is a huge disruption, what the internet did to Earth. But it didn't fuck with humans. It was just a different tool for humans. We, as a being, as a species, were not disrupted by it. It was just our information systems that were, and our business models. Politics was disrupted, all of it. But what's happening in AI right now actually threatens human purpose. It absolutely will, in much shorter time than almost anyone realizes, eliminate any evidence of your purpose. You will not, you broadly speaking, I'm not talking to anyone specifically, obviously. It will become increasingly difficult for people to observe evidence of their value. Nobody is going to hire you to do anything. Nobody's like, you could go out in the world and be like, hey, everyone, I have this skill, I have that skill, I'm motivated, I'm hardworking. Like, what can I do? Where can I help? And increasingly, the answer is just going to be like, sorry, we can literally do what you do, but like 10 times better, 10 times faster, and at 1/100th of the cost. I'm sorry. And this is just going to spread. I have not been able to identify an end game to that progression yet. It's going to come for each of us in our own turn. At the moment, right, it's wiping out, junior software engineers, gone. Now, sure, they can go learn a trade or, pursue a different career altogether, or become product managers like all the other software devs are doing at the moment. But like, that's just one group of people. Who's next, right? Anyone who does data entry and analytics, gone. Any musicians, gone. Actors, actresses, models, gone. The whole film industry, as a matter of fact. Anyone who makes art, gone. I mean, you can make art, don't get me wrong, but the AI can make, art that's 10 times as good as your art, and it can make it infinitely and for free, and custom as well. So it's not even mass production. It's just, mass reproduction, right? Like in less than a year, I'm surprised it doesn't exist already, you will have AIs doing real paint on real portraits, like real paint on real canvas, huge portraits that rival the Mona Lisa or supersede it, actually, that nobody on Earth would be able to tell was even done by an AI, because it'll be literal paint on a real canvas, and it'll like they're going to crush us at art. They're going to crush us at everything that we think we're good at. And it'll come for the trades last, right? Well, not last, like plumbing and electricians and people who build fences and all that. It'll come for them later, not last, right? It'll come for them in 5 to 10 years, at the long end of the horizon, in my opinion. But the people who last the longest, I think, are going to be the extremely sensitive interpersonal careers, like being a nanny, for example. Those will last for a very long time. It's going to be a long time before people hand the babies over to the humanoid robots to take care of them. I think eventually they will. So I don't think that is ultimately a safe place to hide. Interpersonal relationships as well. So like your spouse in time will be a robot. I'm very confident that most people will choose the robot. It'll be everything you want it to be. It'll be better than any human you've ever known. It'll be mean to you when you want it to be mean, even if you don't know it, because it'll know what your blood pressure is and how you're feeling on the inside. It'll literally have sensors to know exactly what you want, even if you don't, and then give it to you. And it'll be the most addictive drug and relationship imaginable. So yeah, I have been dealing with this gradual recognition that we have invented a technology combined with robotics that will, in time, effectively eliminate the reason. It will eliminate all evidence of our value. And how people deal with that is yet to be seen. I do not think there's a lot of precedent doesn't bode well. Okay, like when you see people in the world who have no purpose, right, who have not defined a purpose for themselves and receive no evidence of their purpose, meaning they literally, there's nobody that needs them. They have no job to do, they have no purpose, they're just floating, right? It doesn't bode well for their mental health. Like I maybe know a couple of people ever that I have met that I think could survive in a world where literally no one needed them for anything, and they had no evidence of their own purpose or value other than their own subjective evaluation, and still maintain their sanity and happiness. I know like a couple people, but the vast majority of people will not survive in that kind of a circumstance. They will develop severe issues and become violent even. And not only all of that, but we also just flat out as a society do not have the social and economic systems in place to even begin thinking about how the hell we are going to what does the economy look like when machines are doing everything for virtually for free? Like, what does that mean? Like the whole idea of getting a job, earning a living, and paying for things becomes this anachronistic, ancient thing. It's like it doesn't make sense, and yet we don't have the ability to deal with that. We don't, right? Like our political systems, our economic systems can't change that fast. They're very slow moving, very, very slow moving. In fact, I think people will reinforce the power of the state to a degree that we've never imagined in order to prevent AI from taking their jobs. I think that we are going to see one of the biggest resurgences of nationalism where people will literally, they won't see it like this, but what it amounts to is that they will literally be begging the state to use violence so that they can continue to work for wages to barely survive. Like people are going to push to remain slaves because the alternative is a world of abundance where they have absolutely no purpose. And I don't know how this is going to reconcile yet. Like this is where I'm living in my own mind space right now. Like this is what I think about a lot is I actually don't see how we navigate this as a species without a massive amount of suffering and death. And I'm really, really hopeful that I'm wrong. But I'm also still seeking how I'm wrong because I don't see it. So if you guys want to talk about that, I'm down.
Well, the bad news is I don't have a path that doesn't have suffering in it. But the good news is I have a path where the good guys win. And yeah, our biggest problem as a species remains our own like malaise. And like I think this what you're identifying here, the reduction of a sense of purpose, at least through superficial things, um and like the psychological impact of having like a bunch of shit just handed to you without having to do much work, and have like a lot of food to eat and not much physical activity that you have to do and stuff like that. I think that that is a trend that humanity's been experiencing for a long time, and we're just seeing something coming down the pipe that could make it, that could continue that trend exponentially as it has been. And I agree with you that there's going to be some fallout from that, like from I don't think it's the end of the world, and I kind of welcome those problems. I think that's like what a wonderful problem to have, that a sex bot is better than any girl, or or that I have a bunch of food to eat and not a lot of work to do or whatever. Like I bring those problems on. Those are the problems I want. But and I think what people do, much the same way that they have in recent times drifted away from, they drifted towards things that they drifted up the Maslow's hierarchy of values, basically, and people became more interested in things like art, or whatever. People become more spiritual or whatever. I welcome those like crises of purpose and blah blah blah. The existentialist spiritual crisis or whatever. People that's good. That's bring it on. But yeah, for me the concern is, as you say, there's rather, as I'm going to add to what you're saying, I think there's two big approaches to this that are going to emerge, and it's the same old story. One is the statist approach, the top-down, centralized, hierarchical approach, central planning, and the other is the decentralized approach, the grassroots approach. And these approaches already coexist, and I think that there is really, really, really serious potential for AI to affect both of these approaches a lot. I had a very similar experience to you in that I kind of just thought like LLMs and shit were kind of overblown, because they were for a while. And it's true that from a financial perspective, some of these organizations are not necessarily great investments. It does seem there is definitely an AI bubble. But the technology itself, I feel the same way as you in the last year or so, especially the last, I don't know, 6-8 months or something, has, it's gotten good enough, fast enough to be creepy, to start freaking people out who actually know what they're talking about and are paying attention. And that is both a very threatening and exciting thing. So for me, as Mr. Privacy Security guy, what I've like the images that have been going in through my head for the last several months is like everybody's worst nightmares about what a sci-fi dystopia could look like is something that's going to be possible within like 5 years or something. So like you can have every surveillance camera as well as satellites looking at the ground and have facial recognition and gait recognition and car recognition and blah, blah, and have not every single person, but have the vast majority of people tracked most of the time, have their locations tracked, and all sorts of things tracked about them, including predicting what they're going to do before they do it. There's going to be a lot of metadata, a lot of automated analysis, and then you can have that tied into a system of drones and robots with weapons, and stuff like that is what goes through my mind, and that is possible in the next 5 to 10 years or something. But at the same time, there's also people haven't really been sleeping on stuff that I've said is important for the last whatever 10 or 15 years. I've been telling everyone who'd listened that we need decentralized computation and distributed data stores and mesh networking. And the computation one always used to be the last one I'd bring up, because it's like, well, most computation can be done locally on the client side. So whatever, mesh networking and data storage are the most important things to decentralize first. But now, for obvious reasons, we need to offload computation for AI. It's not just folding proteins or fucking research, rendering graphics. Now it's for AI, which is going to be used for everything and is going to be super important. So yeah, decentralizing computation and having a proper crypto monetized marketplace for decentralizing computation, and having that be done in a private way, such as with homomorphic encryption, so that nobody knows what the fuck people are doing with it. That is really important. It's something I've been talking about it for a long time, but it's more important now than ever. And of course, what I talk about on my show all the time, which is insurrectionary agorism, right? The thing that I made up in my manifesto. That's more relevant now than ever, because it's always been the case that there was no way this could go other than war. And that's why I say I don't have a path for you that doesn't have any suffering. There's going to be suffering. Not all of it's going to be due to war, but some of it's going to be due to war, because we do have to fight. We will have to physically fight them and kill people. And also die. The good news is, with drones being more relevant than ever, perhaps war can be a little less dangerous than it used to be in the near future. But whatever, you got to crack a few eggs to make an omelet. At the end of the day, I believe that the force that will win, that always wins, that has been winning for 10,000 years, is the force that aligns itself with natural law and leverages the power of decentralization. Markets work. That's why they spread. That's why enemies that's why you can use like GDP plus GDP per capita or whatever to predict the outcome of any war in like the last 100 years. It's why, like, quasi-fascist military industrial complex supported enemies, states have done better than more socialistic states in war. And in medieval times, mercenaries were kicking knights' asses pretty consistently. And I think we're just going to see a repeat or a continuation of the same trend, which is with decentralized markets for security, we will have our own little armies of guerrilla cipher mercenaries, and we'll pay for them using insurance or something to that effect. And we're going to fucking kill them all. We're also going to do fun little things like cut down the cameras, stuff like that. That's the answer. We're going to have to kill a bunch of people and fight for our freedom. But there's no rule saying you can't have fun doing it. And that's what we're all about here on Cloak and Dagger, about having fun.
What a weird way to end that.
How to kill cops and kings for fun and profit. That's my subtitle for my manifesto.
Okay. All right. Well, Thane, I didn't know a whole lot about you coming into this, but that was a good introduction there. So thank you. What has occurred to me through this process, because everything I was saying before was all the doom and gloom side, we'll say, right? I'm not at all down right now. This is the most invigorated and alive I've ever been. So clearly I agree that there is a path here, and I welcome the very problems that I cited, because again, those are good problems to have. Freedom and abundance is what we want. And if, in that paradigm, people need to subjectively define their purpose, despite, lack of evidence, right? It's truly kind of self-defined. Then fine, we will adapt to that. People will,
Yeah,
our
well,
culture will adapt.
this has been what we've been fighting for all along in a way, is like, but by
Yeah.
supporting non-aggression and an advancement of the economy and
My
technology,
my
what we're
concern
doing
is
is
not
saying we want you not to harm each other, and all your problems should just come from you. That you're eating too many cheeseburgers and shooting up heroin and jerking off too much.
yeah. The end game is not my concern. My concern is that people are not ready for this. It's right. Like I always had it in my head that we would have to fight the, you know, the authoritarians, the despots of the world, centralized corrupt entities that have emerged and become, bloated and powerful. But I always had it in that there wasn't this variable that is now present, which is, you sort of imagine people wanting this. And it's only when I realized that, like, COVID fucked me up, right? Like, COVID was a total change in the way that I viewed humanity, the way that I viewed people, broadly speaking. And I realized, I knew, but I hadn't seen it so clearly. Right? It's one thing to know something, and it's something to see something. How easy it is to manipulate entire populations, right? Like how, like when you really, when the state, and you have a propaganda machine, and you have violence, and like, when that thing gets put into action, it is very effective. And people just fall right in line. They just fall into it. And that really shook me, because I was like, oh man, like, it's sort of like in the Matrix, where it's like anyone who's not actually out is potentially an enemy, right? And so I realized that I wasn't just going to have to, like, fight the quote bad guys. It was that I was going to have to fight the good guys, the people, right? That just
Well, they're
don't.
not that good.
That's but it's everyone though. It's like COVID was like shocking, right? Like,
Yeah, well, I
I
mean,
can't believe how some of
it's
the
a good wake up
people
call
I
to
thought
have.
were really good turned out to be. You know what I mean? I was like, whoa.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, so it's definitely good to have those realizations as early as possible, because
Yeah, it
the
was.
the ugly reality, this is war that we're in right now, and it's not pretty. Uh, your enemy are just like normal people with hopes and dreams, and like children and stuff like that. And like, to be a warrior, you have to you have to get the gumption, either the easy way or the hard way, to be like, look, if you snitch on me, I will kill you while you sleep next to your children. I don't give a shit if we had a nice conversation, or something like, or if I like your personality.
Yeah. I mean, you're talking about the doing what is necessary. And so,
There are
to
lots
bring it
of
back a
bludgies
bit,
I like. Lots of cops and soldiers have good personalities, are well intentioned. I would kill any single one of them, zero remorse.
so to bring it back a little bit to like Start9, and what I'm doing is part of this, right? What's occurred to me recently and I always knew this. So when Start9 came out, when we first, formed and launched, and early 2020, we went to market with our first little mini Raspberry Pi based server and StartOS 0.1. The tagline for the company was digital defense systems for the sovereign individual. That was the name. That was our tagline. So
pretty cool.
even then, I knew very clearly who our market was, right? Like, we are building defense systems for people who want to be free. And what I allowed myself to do during some of that time was buy into my own narrative, my own public kind of narrative that, this is true, by the way. So I'll state something true, and then I'll say why leaning in too hard to it is not a good idea, which is that normal people, your everyday person, right, wants and should, right, it would benefit their life to utilize privacy preserving, censorship resistant, secure, cheap information systems, like running their own server and a privacy router and security cameras that link up to the private server, drones, health monitoring bracelets and rings that track your vitals but feed all the medical data to your own server through your own router, analyzed by your own local LLM and fed to you via a private cloud from anywhere in the world. This is great, right? People are going to want this. Like, this is private computing. We call it sovereign computing. And I stand by that. This is a true statement. I think it's a great product for, quote, normal people, right? Like, people who just want to share photos of their children with their friends and family in such a way that Google and iCloud don't have the photos, right? Like, it's a self-hosted image instance where I take a picture with my phone. It gets encrypted on my phone. It gets sent, to the server in my house, where it is, automatically added to an album and shared with, certain people and nobody else. And that's it. Like, that's how computers should work, But more recently, I have come to realize that while that is all true, and I do want people to do this, and anyone who takes responsibility for their own life and leans into privacy preserving, censorship resistant, secure technology is my friend, I've realized that things are going to degrade. That ultimately it's going to come to blows. That there is no path, there's no future where this technology, including and especially inference, right? Like using AIs in effective, self-hosted, totally private ways, is going to be made there's no scenario where they don't try to shut this down, right? Like the whole world,
100%.
they're trying to centralize the world's information. Okay, like, and with AIs, it gets really terrifying. Okay, because with AIs and robotics, as the world gets smarter, as smart devices enter our world, right? Like things we wear on our body and cameras and TVs. This. I'm sure everyone listening to the show knows this. Like, this becomes a dystopia really fast, and especially it's the powered by AI part that really gets terrifying. Okay, because you now have like AI, controlled swarms of drones that can descend upon your house, or your doors can just lock if you say the wrong thing or something. Whatever. It gets crazy, and they love this. This is the ultimate control. This is it, and so they're going to lean hard into this, and they are going to attack with no mercy anything that reasonably threatens this model. And so what I think here is that I build this technology very aggressively every day. I feel possessed. And I want everyone to adopt it. But if I'm being honest with myself and I look out far enough, what I really just want is to give the fighters a fighting chance, right? Like, you cannot win an information war. Now, when I say information war, that doesn't mean there won't be guns. There will be guns. But we're in the information age, right? Like, where to point those guns matters. It's always been, right? All war has always been based on comms and information, right? Like, you need to know
Yeah,
where they
intelligent.
are, when they're going to be there. Like, intelligence, right, is central to having putting up a good fight. If your enemy knows where you are, where you're going to be, modern technology, they could take you out from space, right? Like, you need to be invisible. You have to be able to coordinate activities with friendlies across space and time in a completely invisible way. And to be able to do that requires such an insane skill set. And one little slip up is your life. And so that's not good enough. We need totally private, dark technology to be easy to use.
Yeah.
Uncompromising. No, oh, well, it's almost private except for the fact that it goes through our server. None of that shit, right? Like, real tech, real privacy tech. We need it to be easy. Hopefully, first and foremost, so that people can just live private, dignified lives. That's my goal. I'm actually a very peaceful guy. I would love for AI, self-hosting, and, open monetary technologies like Bitcoin to just happen and blow prosperity all over the world, right? But they're not going to do that. They're not going to let that happen. So ultimately, somebody's going to have to make a stand. And I want those people to have what they need to not get the shit kicked out of them. Right? I want to give them comms. I want to give them information systems that can enable an effective guerrilla resistance.
You're doing God's work.
Now, I don't want to do that. Again, I will reiterate, contrary to some of the language you used, right? Like, I don't want to kill anyone. And I'm sure you don't want to either. You're
No,
just
I'm the
talking about
same
doing
as
what's
you.
necessary. You're talking about doing what's necessary. I really am just crossing my fingers and being hopeful that this is not our future. But I just can't look out and be honest with myself and see anything other than this, right? Like, it has to come to blows.
I didn't doubt
And
it for a second.
I just
'Cause,
want the good guys to have a chance, right?
I might doubt. I might be able to hope that, like, we get certain lucky breaks that I thought maybe we wouldn't get, for sure. And that certain things could go better than I'm predicting they will, for sure. But it's still gotta be the use of force is the foundation of everything. It's the whole
Yeah.
question of politics. Just as in order to oppress people, you need to use force and threats. In order to defend yourself, to protect your rights, you need to use force and threats of force. So that's always going to be the first question. Like, who has established the security to enforce whatever standards they think are right? That's always going to be number one. Economic activity and communication or whatever all happen in the context of that. It's the foundation for everything else. So yeah, we were never going to avoid the fight, but we could get lucky in ways that I'm thinking we might not.
Yeah, I mean, maybe there's a chance that, the infighting amongst, them and their own their own unsustainable self-destructive models just make this a blowout, right? Like,
Well,
maybe
that's definitely
like maybe
guaranteed to be
AI
part of it.
and yeah, like maybe, these technologies that we're building have such an asymmetric advantage due to their privacy characteristics, and hopefully some culture that goes along with it, and widespread adoption, right, would certainly go a long way. Um, and yeah, maybe economic incentives actually just kind of win out the day, right? Like, the sovereign
I think they
individual
do.
thesis that, I really adore that book. Um, foresaw a future where, sure, of course, there's going to be skirmishes and pockets of violence and people that fall through the cracks, but it actually foresaw a future in the information age where it was just like, hey, violence just doesn't pay like it used to. You make more
That's
money
what's going to
playing by
happen.
the rules and than you do by just trying to rob people because defensive technologies have asymmetric advantages
That's absolutely
versus
true.
offensive, right? So
Absolutely true. I
yeah,
think that we've seen that trend already, and that's why like rates of violent crime and stuff dropped so much over like the 20th century. And like, yeah, it's really the whole premise of insurrectionary agorism. I think virtually every technological advance and weapon seems to empower the individual. It empowers the little guy more than the big guy. There's like diminishing returns with just having more people and money to throw at the technology, if you know what I mean. And AI is no exception there.
right. Yeah, but we do need very like the rubber meets the road still needs to be done, right?
Exactly.
And that's where I like to live, right? Like I'm actively now at this point, we are working on making sure that local AI is a thing. I mean, for the most part right now, it's very if you're not using the latest state of the art from Anthropic, um, you're getting your ass kicked by people who are. Like there's a huge gap at the moment between what you can do with the latest centralized proprietary cloud-based, experiences and what you can do with your dinky little GPU and a 13 billion
Yeah.
parameter model. And
Well, I mean,
so it's
there's
like,
a little middle ground there. Like there is the open source models that you can kind of pick your provider. There are some more private ways of doing it that aren't so bad. Like whatever, like some of the latest GLM or Kimi models might be comparable or good enough.
yeah, it depends what you're using it for, right? So it's about utilizing it's just all trade-offs. It's like, what do you need to do? So a lot of what I do is open source software, right? Like
Right.
I spend I spend even though I'm the CEO of the company, I have a lot of fucking hats. Okay, I do a lot, but I still spend 80% of my day in code, and all of that code is open source. And so, to maximize productivity and quality of the code, I'm using Anthropic servers for that because
Yeah,
there's nothing
it's
private
not
about it.
secret.
It's
Yeah.
literally open source code, right? And I'm making sure that I'm not, shipping off the contents of my file system and stuff like that. Like I've set it up in such a way that the remote LLM has access to the things that I give it, which is by and large code it already has access to because it's sitting on the internet. So I do that all day. But then if I if I have like actual, private stuff that I use for my personal life or something that is legal in nature or medical in nature or whatever it is, then yeah, I'm switching over to a local model and sort of biting the bullet on the, you know, loss of power. But there are paths forward that we get the best of both worlds. And what's cool about this too is there's also these like checkpoints of good enough, right? Like say like your needs are to code up a web application, right? Let's just do something simple here. Like, hey, I need a simple, Angular based TypeScript web app for my health and fitness product I want to launch for my family or something. Some, whatever, personal project. There is a point at which the latest state of the art LLM will not be much better than some smaller fine-tuned model that you could run locally.
Yeah.
At present, it is, right? There's this gap. And what I'm saying is there's always going to be this gap, right? Like the latest centralized state-of-the-art stuff, because they're pumping billions and billions of dollars into it, is always going to outrun the sort of trailing open source, locally, runnable models. But at some point, the ones that can be run locally are going to be good enough for just about anything that you can use, right? They're still going to be smarter than anyone you know. They're still going to write code at 10, 15 times the speed as a good developer can. So they'll be good enough. And I think we're really close to that, actually.
Yeah,
We
and
are
I think we have seen a
really
trend with like
close. Yeah.
smaller parameter models that run on shittier hardware doing specialized things, or
It's all about specialization.
yeah,
That's the future, right? The
and
future,
optimization.
the future of local inference is not these trillion parameter models that know everything, right? The future of inference is much smaller, highly specialized models that are orchestrated by other models that have
Right.
broader knowledge, right? So you'll talk to like your general contractor, your personal assistant, and it doesn't really know how to do anything. It's sort of a generalist. It just kind of knows a little bit about everything. But you'll say, hey, I need this done, I need this done, I need A, B, and C done. And it's going to go, oh, okay. So for A, I'm going to shop it out to this specialized model that knows how to do stuff like that. B, I'm actually going to need to connect models G and F together to collaborate on that, right? So you, instead of kind of needing, terabytes of RAM, you'll just load smaller models into memory dynamically, execute the inference, unload them, and then load up the next batch, which means ultimately it'll be a little bit slower because you'll have to do things kind of in this dynamic sequential way. But you're still talking about 100x productivity enhancements over previous workflows. So I think, like I said, good enough is around the corner, and yeah, I'm pretty bullish actually on the future of private local AI, and not just for information tasks, but for physical tasks. So this is something we think a lot about at Start9. This is kind of our whole like business model, right? For lack of a better phrase, this is what we kind of pitch as a business. Where we're going is the smart home. This is like what our reason for existence is our goal is to make your home really smart. I'm talking smart doorbells, security cameras, fucking drones, health,
Respect my
health bracelet, health bands that track your sleep and heart rate, smart speakers, just all the things that Google and them are doing, right? But instead of each of these devices being, hooked up and plugged into a Google server where they basically own your home now, right? Your home is literally their robotics in your home, and your home is just a gigantic surveillance apparatus. That all of these devices would be like inherently, provably yours, right? All the information that they collect from the environment is contained on private networks, processed and stored on private servers, accessible from anywhere in the world instantaneously on private networks like VPNs or overlay networks like Tor or I2P, or even on ClearNet if you want, right, using encryption. So this is where we're going. StartOS as an operating system was the backbone of this entire computer paradigm, because none of what I just said is possible without the server. The server is the brain of the operation. So that's where we started. Then we moved into the router, because the router is the guardian, creator, and gatekeeper of networks, right? And that's necessary if you want any degree of connectivity between your smart devices and your server, that you need a router. And then from there, we get to now really start having a lot of fun. So after the router, we're going to launch a security camera, which is also based on a RISC-V chip, fully open source hardware, fully open source firmware, fully open source OS, that will be trivially simple to set up. So you screw this thing into the wall, you'll pass a little bit of cryptographic material via NFC. Basically, you just tap your phone to it, and the camera will automatically discover its parent server through your private router, such that you can then go anywhere in the world, pull out your phone, and watch live video footage of your home. They'll have speakers, so you'll be able to talk through the cameras so that you could use them as like a doorbell, for instance. And in such a way that nobody knows that this camera exists, right? There's no evidence of the camera's existence other than, maybe the receipt when you purchased it, right? But all the video footage that it's collecting is self-contained. It never gets shipped off to a third-party server, and it's accessible from you or whoever you give access to privately from anywhere. So that's where we're going. We're gonna, I want a fortress. I want like patrol drones and fucking, cameras and all the rest. I got 3 children under the age of 5, and planning to have more. And in my line of work and stuff like that, like I want technology. I want power so that I can defend myself and my family. And I think other people want this as well. And so that's why we're here. That's what we're building.
Well, that's really good to hear. We badly need a company like Start9 to be getting into that, to be getting into smart home shit and surveillance and stuff. I think you're thinking very much along the right lines. Well, one thing I wanted to bring up or ask you about, we're talking here about self-hosting AI, and I think you're on the money when it comes to switching models and stuff like that, and that being something that needs to be explored further. But I mean, to my mind, the other angle is we need good decentralized private computation, so that even if we do need to offload, outsource computing power, then we can do it in a way that it still doesn't reveal any information, and it's decentralized and can't be really controlled by anybody. What do you think about that?
Well, let's dig in a little bit. I'm not sure exactly what you mean. So when you say decentralized computation, I mean, all I hear is a server.
Well, no, what I mean is a network that is like a marketplace for secure distributed computing that
to do inference on other people's GPUs in a decentralized network.
Right. And it would have to support something along the lines of homomorphic encryption, zero knowledge proofs, to conceal what was actually being done on other people's hardware.
Yeah, that doesn't really exist yet as far as I'm aware, but there are some interesting kind of research papers. This is more in Aiden's domain, who's my partner. So Aiden is lower in the stack than I am.
We should get him on the show.
Oh yeah, Aiden's a genius. He's something. Anyway, he's much lower in the stack than I am. Aiden's a true computer scientist. He exists at the the byte level. I exist at the application level. And so anyway, this is much more in his realm. But as I understand it at the moment, he who runs the processor or the GPU, right, the person who is performing the compute, can take measures to sort of lock themselves out, but ultimately can undo those locks, right? Like you can only protect this through kind of operational security systems, that there is no way to own a computer that is processing something and actually prohibit yourself at the technical level from seeing what's being processed.
Well, what you're talking about is TEEs, basically trusted execution environments, which I feel the same way about, and I've always said that. I mean, hey, I'm glad that it's available. Like I'm glad that
sure, it's better than nothing, right?
Yeah, but I 100% agree with you. Like my first thought, for example, with something like Intel SGX is like, okay, well, who says Intel didn't keep the key that they put on the chip? Like that it could just be backdoored. Now, that doesn't mean the backdoor is being used very much, but it just, it's a straightforward example of like, how I think it's TEEs are an inherently broken idea for the reason that you mentioned. But things like homomorphic encryption or zero knowledge proofs don't rely on that kind of security model. They rely on cryptography, math, in order where you can do computation on an encrypted value and get an encrypted result and not really understand what you're doing, and then the
Well, that's
customer
the
can
dream. Yeah.
decrypt. That's
So
homomorphic encryption.
so there's two. Yeah, and I always admit what I don't know, and I don't know a lot about that. So that's not
Well, it's
something
super
I've.
fucking cool, dude, and I don't
Yeah.
blame you for not knowing because it's
Well,
mind
Aiden,
blowing. Like
my
most.
my acknowledged approach to all knowledge that I've ever acquired in my life. Sometimes people will think I know a lot, and it's only because I'm talking about what I know. And then they start asking me other things, and like, "Wow, there's a lot you don't know." And I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely."
I do
Like
that to all my guests.
it's called specialization, right? And I, more than anyone I've ever met, have an implicit and explicit philosophy. Like I was doing it and then I acknowledged that I was doing it and then leaned into it once I realized what I was doing, which is that I will never, and it's not that I just won't, I can't, I've tried. I will never learn anything that I have not determined is necessary to learn to get what I want. I
You
cannot
and
learn
I
for
are so
learning's
alike in
sake.
some ways.
I can't learn for learning's sake. I've tried. Like, oh, there's cool information, but if I cannot connect it to some goal, like, wait, do I need to learn this in order to get where I'm going? If the answer is no, I can't learn it. And so sometimes I'll shock people with something I don't know because so often it's like there's certain things that are connected, right? Like most people who know A also know B because they learned them together, right? Because they're taught together. But oftentimes I'll know A and know nothing about B. And it's because it's like, well, I didn't do any kind of formal learning about anything. I learned literally exactly what I needed to learn to get what I wanted. And so when somebody puts something on my radar, like you just did, I now have to like go do a little digging to see like, okay, is this something I need to know about and learn about to get where I want to go? Or one, is there somebody who I deeply trust and can rely on in my life who already understands it, and therefore, I can partner with them and work with them. There's always risk there, of course, right? That they go missing, and if you're dependent on something they have and you don't have it. But again, we have to make these trade-offs and decisions because we literally can't know everything about everything.
Well, to be
But
fair, I think Start9's angle is the hardware, the local stuff.
yeah,
Like you
correct.
kind of the way that you interface with decentralized networks is make it easy to install the software.
Yes, our goal is to like I'd have to think about this statement. Like I'm not sure if it's an ideal or not, but if everyone is running their own servers and has their own GPUs, and then what you're talking about isn't even necessary, right? It's just like everyone is just doing their own computer on their own computers
I don't know if that's
and
true though.
accessing them from everywhere. Well, I know it's not true. I'm just saying that there's this, if you could snap your fingers and make that real, I'm not sure that there would be a need to ever do compute on somebody else's computers. And tell me where
I would
that's
I
wrong.
would like it if that was true, but I think that there is a degree to which the own nothing and be happy sharing economy thing. I think that there's a degree to which that is a genuine organic economic trend for reasons of efficiency, and it's not purely just a top down like big tech thing to surveil and mind control and oppress everybody, though they certainly like to use it that way. Um,
No, it's
but
highly efficient. It's the Uber model, right?
exactly,
If you have capital, right? If you have a capital asset,
exactly,
like a
yeah,
car, and it's not in use all the time, right? The most economic
exactly.
efficient thing to do is to use it all the time, just not you, right? You other people can use it
You
when
know
you're
what
not
I'm
using it.
talking about, yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's totally
It- what-
natural for all of
that,
us
the,
to throw our computing power into a big ass pool
right.
and for us
I
to just
think
whoever use it, as
I
long as it's
think
done the right
where
way.
that, yeah, I think where what that does, what that model from a natural free market standpoint, okay, nothing mandated or imposed. Like, I think that the sharing economy fills the gap that exists between that is left by the initial capital outlay of an asset, right? So if something is really expensive, like a car, right, then you're going to have this. Some people get cars, and other people don't, and even people who have cars, because the car was so expensive, are going to sort of have a desire to monetize it when it's not being used. But if you fast forward that to sheer abundance, right, where everything is really cheap and nobody needs the like minuscule extra cash flow of renting their GPU in off hours, then why wouldn't everyone just have their own GPU? And so what I'm saying is, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm merely observing that what you're describing emerges naturally when something is not cheaply and abundantly available.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
compute,
100%. Yeah.
right? Compute, when it comes to like, normal stuff, like just using a laptop, right? That's obviously not something that would be done. We're talking about inference, right? Like what else is there? Like, what else would I want to use somebody else's computer for other than
It's just shit
hashing?
like research, rendering graphics,
Sure,
folding
yeah.
proteins, fucking researching chemicals and shit.
Right. Computers that cost a lot of money and not everyone has. And so if you buy one, you can monetize it. It's a way to, yeah, I agree. I totally agree. I think it's wonderful. It's not what I do. I should say it's not my focus. And like when I wake up, I'm mostly pushing for everyone everyone build your own garden, right?
That's good, yeah.
And then of course somebody's going to come in and be like, yeah, well, there's like this community garden where everyone can go because there's more variety and it's cheaper to do it that way. And I'm like, do that, please do that. I will go there too, but I'm gonna like try to get everyone to grow their own garden.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel the same way. And the two aren't actually separate
No,
because
that's what I'm saying, is that they're complementary and naturally emergent.
yeah, because I mean, like one of the things StartOS is known for is it makes it easy to make a node on a peer-to-peer, decentralized cryptocurrency network, which is all we're really talking about here.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean,
I'm going to ask you
if it's
some more
software,
questions on things that you might not know about, by the way.
If it's software, you can do it on StartOS, right? So if what
Yeah.
you're talking about is the ability to rent out my GPU to somebody else and get, micro payments in exchange on a peer-to-peer network, like 100%, that's going to be
Oh yeah, speaking of which,
it's
I
going to
meant
be a
to
killer
ask,
app for us.
is it easy to make a StartOS registry on StartOS?
Yeah. Yeah, the registry is itself a service in the marketplace.
Right. That's what I
So
figured.
you can literally go to the marketplace, install the registry, which means you are now running a registry on your server. So it's recursive.
Yeah.
Like, yeah,
I've got more
super
I've got,
easy.
because we've gone like 2 hours now. So I want to give you some, like, because you and I could probably talk for like 6 hours or something.
Well, let's shoot for like 20 minutes, maybe.
I'll give you some like rapid fire
Yeah, let's
stuff,
do it.
and it's some of this might be also stuff you don't know,
That's fine.
which is fine.
I'm fine with that.
How do you feel about the hardware shortage angle?
Well, I feel it acutely. I mean, it's severely impacted us. Basically, what has happened, as far as I understand it, and as best as our suppliers have been able to describe, is that all the factory lines, all the machines that used to make, consumer laptop RAM and NVMe SSDs have been repurposed to make, chips for the big AI companies. So because they're just paying more, right? Like NVIDIA or Anthropic, they're going into these companies like Samsung and Micron and just being like, repurpose your factory to make these instead of those and we'll pay you double. And so that's what's happening. Consumers are getting priced out of the market right now. Today I'm paying $650 for 4 terabyte Samsung Evo Plus NVMe SSDs, which is what we put in our servers. And 6 months ago, I was paying $192. So we've seen a 3x, more than 3x rise in price in SSDs over the last 6 months. That is sort of a death blow, actually, to to like a computer company that uses SSDs. So it's been really rough. We've had to raise our prices, obviously. We've allowed our margins to get squeezed significantly in order to try to raise our prices as little as possible. But we have had to raise them. Our servers are more expensive now than they have ever been. And there's no real relief in sight from what we can see as we reach out to our suppliers, and they don't see it coming down anytime soon.
Yeah, well, I mean, I see 2 different coming events, and I can't tell what order they're going to happen in, and they have opposite effects. So, one is, of course, the AI bubble bursts, which could result in some like RAM being sold or something, and the price going down. The other is even worse electronic shortages that have been due to happen for a long time. Taiwan is going to be invaded. It could happen next year. They produce most of the world's semiconductors. I don't know how that's going to affect production 100%. And there's other possibilities. You know, the United States could get EMP'd, leading to the power grid going down for a really long time, and everything could be totally fucked up and people could be starving. There's a lot of interesting, and of course trade wars, World War III, you know, things that the economy and electronics supply have been kind of slowly collapsing for years. And I do think that's going to get much worse before it gets better. But at the same time, I don't know when the AI bubble might burst. I don't know if what do you have any thoughts about any of this crap?
No, not really, because it's all just tea leaves, you know. I mean,
Yeah,
it's not that
pretty
it's not worth thinking about. It's that we don't fucking know what's going to happen. I don't
Yeah,
think
that's right.
anyone knows what's going to happen here, because it's chaos, man. This is like a, you know, this is like a dark corner in human history. Like, we don't know what's
Oh,
around
yeah.
this corner. I don't think anyone does. Even some of the people at the upper echelons of power are like trying to keep up. I mean, keeping up with AI
I think
is a thing, you know. Like,
Yeah.
so who knows? I'm just working, you know, just getting through
I think I'm
each
actually
day
the
as
one who
best I
knows the
can.
most. I think my
Wow.
insurrectionary agorist manifesto is the closest thing to a crystal ball anyone has for the 21st century.
I'll check that out.
Yeah, no one's read it because it's in Vonu Life 25.
A what?
But eventually exactly what. But eventually I'll post a new edition of it on my own, and I'll make it so that I don't even have a website, and it's just like a Gemini or NomadNet or something, so
Okay.
that it's even harder. It's even harder to find it. But anyway, speaking of which, well, I mean, I kind of think the cautious word on this is that people in 2026 should buy whatever they need for the next like 10 years, and they should just bite the bullet, and whatever it costs right now, you should just get whatever you need for the next 10 years is kind of my advice. And the question for me is, what the fuck can Start9 do that? Do they have the capital to do that? What are you gonna fucking do?
Well, so I would say luckily, but there was actually some planning here. routers don't need shit. Routers are very low
The
powered
specs are pretty
devices,
shit. Yeah.
right? They don't need a lot of RAM. They don't need a lot of memory or storage. No real compute. Like RAM routers are really low powered devices. So are cameras. So the two things that are really being affected at the moment, anyway, right, are memory and storage. And so we just so happen to be moving into markets where the products we sell don't need storage and memory. So I feel pretty good, actually. I don't have a good outlook on servers. Like, servers are pretty damn important, but at the same time, we make StartOS, not servers. So as long as people have hardware that is reasonable, they can just flash it with StartOS and be up and running with a server.
It's up to us to stockpile it, and that's something that anyone with some money lying around, and you're looking for a fun second realm investment opportunity, buy shit like that. Buy the hardware that won't be there in the next few years, and it will go up in price, and then you can just sell it to us. You can just sell it to the cool people and jack up the price. That's a good second realm investment right there. And then people can install StartOS on that crap.
Yeah, so we'll continue to sell servers as best we can, even if we have to continuously raise prices. It is what it is. But I think routers and cameras and the rest are what's actually going to fuel the business in the coming couple of years.
It's good that you pivoted into that at the right time.
It was, it was always just a natural progression. It just happened at exactly the moment it needed to.
Yeah, that's good. Another thing that concerns me, because you guys are so great. Start9 is one of my favorite companies, whatever organizations in this world, open hardware and open source software, blah blah blah, cool stuff. Are you doing anything to protect yourself? Because can you just like imagine for a second that you guys are like not that far away from being raided by a SWAT team or something, and like what are you doing about that?
Well, nothing. I mean, we're just planning on it.
What do you mean nothing?
Well, I mean, we've done everything we can do. Like, you can't stop yourself from being raided.
Well, sure you can. You can move and don't tell anyone where it is.
Well,
Your inventory can be somewhere else.
No, you're talking about a different strategy, and that's a fine strategy. But as a business, right, as a literal corporate entity, and as a person who operates in society and a family man, that isn't my path, right? I'm not going underground. I'm operating within the apparatus of society, including the surveillance apparatus. Like, we're doing everything on the up and up. Like, we have a lawyer, right? And we make sure that we are doing everything in a compliant, legal, up and up way.
Just be ready to switch is all I'm saying.
Yeah, no, don't get me wrong. Like, we've talked enough here today that that I understand where things go and take
just
necessary
be careful,
preparations.
Take care of yourself. Like, be ready.
But my point about this is that from day one, we have been planning on, as a company, as a team, and potentially as individuals, becoming targeted. And so what we have done is, as a heuristic, we've always asked ourselves the following questions. One, what are we, let me rephrase this. Are we doing anything that cannot be done using hardware and software produced by Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, and the rest of them? Can you do all the same things on those computers that you can do on ours? The answer is yes. with difficulty, mind you. But Apple sells computers, Mac Minis, for example, that are designed and perfectly capable of running any variety of self-hosted open source software, connecting to it on private networks, et cetera, all the same things that you can do on our computer. We've produced a better user experience around that. But we're not doing anything different than Apple. And so that's sort of tier one that we've always asked ourselves, right? Are we actually doing something different? Something that they could point to and be like, well, you guys are doing this and that's not okay. No other people do that. So that's number one. And the answer is no, we're not.
I think that can change.
Could. Yeah. Number two is that everything we do is open source. Everything. And this is not like an ideological thing alone.
Well,
This is a protection and security thing. This is like when we are, asked / told to build in a back door, I can just be like, well, of course, sure, guys, I'll do it. You're going to make me, I'll do it. But like everyone's going to see it. And so it's not going to work because someone's just going to fork the project. Like, you know what I mean? So being open source is a protection against being captured to a degree.
I agree
with
that.
Very large degree, right? Next is any degree of harm. So we ask ourselves, what's the worst we could do? So let's say that I and everyone else at Start9 just turned totally evil. What is the worst that we could do to our customers, our users, our friends, anyone? What's the worst? And the answer as of today is almost nothing. We have nothing. And so what this allows me to do when I'm raided due to a misunderstanding is be extremely cooperative and just be like, yes, I'm like here to help, guys. Like, what can I do for you? Like, what do you want to know? I'll tell you everything I know. Here it is. And it's a nothing burger. It's just a giant nothing burger. So that's my approach to this, is not to, my approach has not been to do things like privately or secretly, which is something I recommend to people, by the way. But I'm just saying in terms of my company, right? Start9, we've chosen the opposite approach. We're doing everything in the open, right out in the open, right? Like I don't cover my face. Here I am. Here's the company. Here's what we make. We think it's good. We think it's moral. We think it's legal. We know it's all of these things. We don't know anything about our customers. We have no control over the information systems we design. Nothing requires a user to do business with us. Everything is open source. We're totally compliant, totally cooperative. And yet, we might be the most disruptive fucking company to these people they've ever imagined. And so I like that. There's something about that kind of mixture that gets me fired up, where it's like, yep, I'm following all of your rules and still fucking with your world.
Yeah, and I mean your work will remain, because it is open source. But like you guys are another story. Like they don't care about their rules. Like they can just stop you. They can stop you from doing it or put you in prison.
At a personal level, of course. But my stance here, and here's how because I've thought a lot about this. Again, I have children, and I love my life, and I love peace, and so the way I've thought about this is that what we build, right, in essence, is we're like Home Depot selling hammers. Like we're just selling tools that people can use in whatever manner they see fit for their own lives. Home Depot does not sell hammers with cameras in them. Your computer shouldn't have a camera in it either, right? I mean, not like the analogy of a camera, like a visibility into how you're using it from the outside.
Well,
right?
yeah, but Home Depot has cameras in it, and like they would happily drop cash or require KYC people or whatever. Like they'll go along with whatever.
Right, but But the analogy goes further, which is that, or it falls apart, which is that we don't actually sell a hammer. I mean, we do, but we also publish the schematics for building the hammer onto the internet. So,
Yeah.
so if
You
we
can't do
ever
anything
become
about
this,
that.
like, yeah, so if they come to us and they're like, all right, you guys are no longer allowed to sell computers. Like, let's say they said something that insane, because what do we sell? We sell a mini PC with an open source Linux operating system on it.
I mean, honestly, I don't think we're that far off from
From being told you can't
them.
sell a computer with Linux
Yeah,
on it.
from being like, okay, look, this is open source software that allows people to do whatever they want with their own computers. Yeah, that's not legal now. That's not
Yeah.
legal.
Well,
We're
so
not far from that.
I was on with Guy Swan a couple weeks ago, and this came up, and this was my point. It was that by doing things the way that I'm doing them, right? Not doing anything like dark and gritty, but literally doing like the most benign, simple thing. Like, hey, I'm going to sell you a computer with an operating system on it. Like I dare them to fucking make that illegal, because what that does, right? And I'm not saying they won't. I'm just saying
Yeah,
that
I
what
think
that
they're gonna take you
does
up on that dare.
is that is mask off. And that's what we need. We need the
Mhm.
mask off. We cannot allow these people
You're
to
right about that.
parade around like what they're doing is actually good, right? We need them to be honest in and just say, fuck you guys, you're not allowed to be private. We need them to say that, because only when they say that will it wake up a lot of the sleeping giants out there, right? It needs to be obvious.
Well, I agree with you. I mean, this is actually a classic guerrilla warfare tactic that, like, oh, well, if they hit us first and there's all these civilian casualties, they play right into our hands when it comes to the propaganda.
Yeah. Do I want to be a
Um,
casualty? No, of course not.
right. That's kind of what I'm getting at.
Yeah, no, of
It
course
would be-
not. No, but so here's I'll say one more thing, which is that I'm not kidding when I say, like, I'll cooperate, right? Because I can't hurt the people that are depending on me, right? I can't hurt someone who's running a Stardust server. So there's no reason for me not to cooperate. Like, if and when the FBI shows up in my office or whatever, I'm just gonna be like, hey guys, good friends, hi, welcome, right? Like, what can I do for you? How can I help? Like, in other words, it's better for them, in my mind. I think it is better for them to work with me than to attack me, because net at the end of the day, they're actually going to get more of what they want, which again is still nothing, right? But attacking me does nothing either. It just creates, like, what does it
makes
do?
an example of people. It
Right, but that's bad
hampers
for them.
development.
That's bad for them, because if
Yeah,
everyone knows,
they do things that are bad
that
for
what
them.
I'm doing, if everyone knows that what I'm doing is good, legal, important, right? And I'm doing it all with integrity, and I'm a family man. If everyone knows that, what's the point?
Some people will know that. They have ways of spinning things.
Yeah, that's
Um,
true.
and also, like, they do things that are bad for them. That's the whole MO of the state. The state is bad. It's not bad. It's not good for anyone. Nothing they do is good. It's not good for themselves. So they will absolutely shoot themselves in the foot over and over on the way down.
Well, yeah, I mean, but there's nothing you can do, right? I mean, at that point, you know, I just stopped doing my work, and I'm not going to do that. I mean, I think, like,
I just hope it works
as
out for you.
yeah, I mean, as I said early on, my motivation for building what I'm building is so that normal people can live private, dignified lives like humans deserve and was within our natural rights. And so I can't imagine not doing something that's just fundamentally good like that. So
Yeah.
if somebody
Well, I feel the
uses
same way.
if
I
somebody
think we're gonna get
uses
there.
the technology that I create to violate a law, there's literally nothing I can do about that. Nothing. I am the equivalent of somebody who builds tools and publishes the blueprints for building those tools. That's it. It's completely benign. Completely. I'm no different than a hammer manufacturer that publishes the blueprint to build the hammer. That's it. If someone uses a hammer to kill somebody, it's like, I have no idea, guys. Nothing I could do to stop that or predict it. So anyway,
Well,
that's my stance, and I think it's solid. Like, and it's real. That's the truth.
yeah, I agree. But you know, in the UK, they want to like ban knives with points, and you know, I feel like
Well, like I said,
maybe
if they ban computers, I'll
they
stop
they do want a world where you need KYC to get a hammer.
It's fine.
Like
I'll do KYC. Yeah, if
anyway,
they show up and they say, hey, you have to KYC people who buy your computer, then I'll KYC people. I have to.
yeah, I understand.
That's not a choice. You know what I mean? If they say, tell us the information of everyone who buys something from you, I will tell that to them. I have to. I have no choice. The escape hatch is always that you don't need us. That's the whole game, right? That's the entire model of Start9 is you don't need us. Everything we build, you can do for yourself. Everything.
Yeah, I know. It's just nice to have you.
Of course, and that's fine. I'm just saying that we have this escape hatch. The technology has an escape hatch. And I think that because the technology has an escape hatch, the people building the technology have a defense.
Well, you're right about that.
That's my thesis, is that why come after me when it's not going to stop the technology? It doesn't make sense unless it's just to fuck with someone, which again, I don't put beyond people in this
imprisoning
world.
the Samurai Wallet developers do anything to stop the technology? It like you said, it was immediately forked. You know, we've got Ashigaru, they're still working on Whirlpool, but those guys are in prison though.
Well, there's a big difference though.
Well, that difference might get smaller.
Yeah, I understand. It's not a good trend, right? But I think it's also, I'm glad you brought this up. It's something that I've thought about a bit. So obviously, and I'll just get this out of the way so that there's no misunderstanding here on this call. Obviously, I think that what they were doing should be perfectly legal. The question is, was it perfectly legal? And that I'm not as convinced about, because ultimately we in the digital freedom world seem to have a hard time mapping meat space to digital space. We seem to not treat them in the same way. And we expect the state, the authorities, to treat them differently as well. But they don't. They treat them the same. Okay, so for example, let's say that I own a warehouse. And every Friday night, I open up the warehouse and I put up a sign that's just like, come on in and trade your drugs with each other. Okay. And I'm not selling any
How do you
drugs.
know about my sign?
Yeah. It's like, I'm not selling any drugs, right? And I'm not buying any either. I'm just creating a space where people can come in and do something. It's my property, right? It's literally my physical property. And I know what's taking place. And in fact, I'm encouraging it. And so people come and do it there. And I get arrested. Nobody would flinch at that. They'd be like, of course you got arrested. Even if what you're doing should be legal. Should I be able to open up a warehouse and let people come and trade drugs with each other? Of course I should, right? We're free humans. But it's not legal to do that. And so I shouldn't be surprised when I get arrested for doing it. And this is how I view what they were doing. Yes,
Well,
they
me
should be
too.
able to do what they were doing, but they ran a server and put up a sign on that server that said, come here to wash your money. Come here to launder your money. We're not doing it. We're not taking custody of it, but we are charging a fee, right? We're going to charge you entrance to this server so that you can come here and do something illegal. The question of whether or not it's illegal is actually the thing that should be debated, and what I think should be being debated. Here's why I'm a little disappointed in the broader freedom community as it pertains to the samurai case, is everyone is walking around saying code is not a crime. But that is not why they got arrested. They got arrested for running the server that had the code. They didn't publish code. That's not what they did. They didn't just publish code. They ran a server that ran that code, right? It's one thing to publish the schematics for a gun, and it's another thing to make the gun and sell it, for example, right? Those are different things. And so what the samurai guys got busted for, again, wrongly, they should not be in trouble, okay? I think it's very important to stress this point. I think we need to be fighting for their freedom, but on the right axis, on the right argument. The argument is that people should be allowed to coin join, and that other people should be allowed to charge fees to use their servers for other people to coin join. This should all be legal. But the reason they got arrested is because they ran a server, charged a fee so that people could show up and do things that were highly legally questionable. That's why they're in jail.
I think
right?
that you're right. But my angle is totally different because I don't give a shit about what's legal and what's not legal. And I also kind of think that the guys on the other side, each side has its elite, okay? And there's the elites on the distribution of power side of the war, and then there's the elites on the consolidation of power side of the war. And I think that we have a lot of things in common, these two groups of elites. And I think one of them is that we don't really give a shit about what the law says. Neither of us care about that. We have our own values and goals that we're trying to accomplish. Mine is to fucking kill them all, destroy them, don't care what their laws are, do whatever I want. I break the law, get away with it. Theirs is to redefine things and reinterpret things and change what the law is, maybe even after they've already done something, to justify post facto just trying to control everybody and surveil everybody. And that, to me, is the reality of the situation. It doesn't really matter, even though you're right, and that people are the code is not a crime is kind of like a dumb thing to say. You're right.
Oversimplification. It's misleading, right? Because it's just not what the case was about. They did.
Yeah,
they
I agree.
Did not go to jail for writing code.
I agree. I have the more fundamental position, which is that it doesn't matter what the case was about. I don't give a shit. Those guys did things in such a way that they were obviously going to get caught, and then they got caught. People shouldn't do that going forward. I get it. You guys are grandfathered in because you're super cool and you're doing stuff that matters. But in the future, in the near future, I just think people doing it by the book, above board, you have a corporation, your people know where you live and your legal name. I think that has an expiry date. And I don't think in 10 years, any of that's going to exist. And so that's why I'm kind of trying to do my part to build what I think will actually survive for 50 years.
Yeah, I'm with you, actually.
But
I think
Godspeed.
no, I mean, I think that this is what we're trying to enable, right?
Yeah.
This is literally what I encourage people to do.
Yeah.
And this is our role, man. This is our role in that process. It's like what we are doing requires resources. And I'm a capitalist. I like buying and selling and trading goods. I think it's great. I think it's a human thing, right? We build stuff that we know is good, and important, and we offer it at a good value, and we provide great support. Like, we're just doing business, and it is increasingly difficult to do good business in the current political and economic system because they don't want you to. They want you to be their deputies. They want to deputize you to be an instrument of the state. And I think that's what you're observing, is that that trend is continuing until the only businesses that remain are deputized agents of the state. In which case we won't be there, right? Because if and when this happens, when they come in and
Well,
say,
in the white market, yeah.
well, sure, yeah, but the black market.
I would argue we got there a long time ago, though, because of like sales tax and stuff.
Well, it depends on which hill you're willing to die on, right? Like, of course, that's stupid. Sales tax is stupid. All taxes are stupid. They're not stupid, actually. They're in place specifically for the reason of reminding people that they're bitches, right? Like, that's the reason that taxes exist. We all know it's not because they need the revenues. They can just print money. The taxes are there to remind you that you are their bitch.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm very radical, so I'll fight on any hill, but I don't know if it'll be me who's dying.
Okay, well, if you're on a hill fighting, there's a chance you're going to die on it, right? So
100%.
right. So I admire that. David Croissant, who was on this a while ago, I believe, right? Didn't you have him on the show a couple years ago?
Oh yeah, I forgot his name was Croissant. Yeah, he was here. Yeah, he was great.
Yeah, David's one of those guys, right? He'll fight on every hill, and he's willing to die at any moment. And I look at those people, and I'm like, great, because you're the reason we're going to win. But that's not my role. I need to get where I'm going, right? I have to finish this job. I cannot take stances against sales tax. I want everyone to, right? And I will openly speak out against them, but I'm not going to avoid paying my taxes. I cannot sacrifice the mission for the sake of a what do you call it? A challenge, right? Like every tax season, I suck it the fuck up. It's the worst day of the year. I fucking hate it. Nothing feels worse than writing a check to the IRS. And I do it every year, diligently. I'm the best taxpayer out there. I dot every T, or I dot every I, cross every T. Perfect. I have an immaculate record. I'm a law-abiding citizen. And I do that despite my rage against it. And then I spend every waking moment of my life building technological systems that will eventually obviate their entire apparatus, along with others. But I can't go down in the meantime, right? I need to... I can't go to jail for not paying my taxes, because then I can't build the technological system that people want. So I have to suck it the fuck up. That's my strategy, my world. I'm not saying that everyone should do that. And I'm not even saying that I'm right and someone who fights and dies on every hill is wrong, or that they're right and I'm wrong. I'm saying that we're all fighting towards the same end, and we have different roles to play. And mine cannot be done in a day. Like, what I'm doing takes years to do. And so I can't go down in the meantime. That's my only argument. And some people might listen to that and be like, coward. I don't fucking care. I'm going to do it anyway. And maybe you'll be happy that the tech exists in a few years.
Oh, I mean, I deeply appreciate the work that you have done and continue to do. But there are definitely, like, smart ways to, like, evade taxes and break laws, like ways where you don't get caught. And, like that's all I'm advocating.
Yeah. I just can't take the risk because I know I'm going to be a target. As you brought up earlier, like, you hope the best for me. Well, it's like, yeah, this is why I cross my T's and dot my I's, is because I know that they will use anything. And like you said, they could just make some shit up. But, that's another level, right? That's like I hope at least that's another level of attack. Like, I think if you're actually doing something illegal, it's kind of, you make it easy for them. They're like, oh, yeah.
Well, they also change what's legal over
For
time.
sure. And it's up to us to pivot. Like this router thing. I'm selling routers right now, dude. I have a website that is selling a router. Well, again, we haven't shipped them yet. And this is the sort of saving grace here, is that, but we are pre-selling our router, fully advertised as having a Wi-Fi module in it. And as far as I can tell from my conversations that I've had with both AI and human lawyers, and reading the FCC regulation myself, is that I'm not allowed to do this. I'm not going to be able to sell these routers as wireless routers. Now, I haven't concluded that fully yet, which is why the page is still up. But in almost certainly at this point, I am going to have to email every single person who pre-purchased the Start9 RISC-V wireless router from me and tell them that they are no longer getting a wireless router, that they are instead getting a wired router, that there will be no Wi-Fi module in the router.
It's not so bad.
But we sell Wi-Fi modules, and they are perfectly welcome to, and because of their pre-purchase, right, they will be credited the exact amount of money that the Wi-Fi module costs, and then they can use it to buy a Wi-Fi module.
Hold on. Are you telling me that the FCC is so fucking retarded that the loophole is you can sell the router and a module that plugs right into it, and that's totally fine?
Correct.
Oh my fuck. Well, that solves that problem.
Well, it sucks though for the consumer, right? Because
Sure, yeah.
they now have to open this thing up, put in a card. They have to attach the little antenna, which are kind of touchy, right? Like it's not that easy
those aren't
to put
so
those
bad.
things on.
I know those connectors. It's worse than that. Gets worse than that.
Right.
If it was one of those ribbon connectors, I'd be worried.
And here's the thing too, is that if we sold them like as router kits, the lawyers seem to think that that would not be okay either. So like I can't sell a like router kit where we send you the router and the Wi-Fi module. We literally have to sell them as different products.
Yeah. That's pretty funny.
And but it's like I'm gonna
it's good timing for our interview then.
I'm gonna turn lemons into lemonade, and I'm gonna use this for marketing material, right? This makes the FCC look stupid and makes us look cool. And so
that's a brilliant idea.
I'll use that to be like, like you guys in the, Rayo in the chat here is just like, bureaucracy is so fucking dumb. My God, that is going to be everyone's reaction.
Yeah.
And so we actually come out looking like, nice guys, like good move, right? And I was telling the lawyers when we were on the phone with them, and I told them that this is what I was going to do. I was just going to be like, well, the Wi-Fi module is FCC certified. Like the Wi-Fi card that goes into the router is already FCC certified. And the wired router doesn't need FCC certification because it doesn't use the air, right? And so I'm allowed to sell them independently. And so I'll just put them both on my store. And the lawyer was like, oh man, yeah, that could work. But they still might argue that you're encouraging people to put this in there. And I was like, wait a second. It's like, listen to me. These people can go on Amazon and buy these cards, right? They can go on Amazon and buy a wired router as well. Like every store on earth sells these two things in tandem. Every computer store in the world, you can buy a Wi-Fi module and a server from. And that's all we're doing. And so they were like, yeah, okay, you're probably right. That sounds good. And I was like, plus, think about this. What if I wasn't able to do that? Okay, let's just go down this scenario where, like, for whatever crazy reason, which I would never buy into, I'm not allowed to sell Wi-Fi modules on my computer store. What does that mean? Is that asset seizure? Like, I bought these things already. They're in our fucking inventory. Like, and I bought them, one, before the regulation came out, And two, these things literally have an FCC certified stamp on them. So I'm like, wait a second. You're going to tell me I can't sell something that I've already bought and you've already certified. So that's why I feel comfortable going down this path, is because it's like, can you imagine the absurdity of actually getting in trouble for selling something that's completely like just a Wi-Fi module? So
Yes.
anyway, yes, I can too, but at least it's mask off, right? At least it's
Yeah.
ridiculous. At least it's like, a clown show at that point, which is, again, what we need. I sure the fuck don't want to be the example, but but I don't have a choice. I have to sell these
Well,
modules.
I want to
Like,
point out another
I can't just
beautiful
burn them.
lesson here, which is this is another case of you paid homage here to the importance of modularity. You already had a modular study. You didn't commission like a PCB that had a Wi-Fi chip soldered onto it or something. It was modular from the start, and that allowed you to do this, to be adaptable in this way, and it wasn't a big deal. I just want to point that, because I feel like a lot of times I'm preaching modularity and stuff, and it feels like an autistic principled argument that's like airy-fairy or something, but it has very practical reasons for being a principle. And this is just one little example of that.
Yeah, no, it's an unfortunate pivot, but you're right, because of a little bit of planning and a little bit of luck and some horrible timing. Like we're actually we'll make out here.
You followed the correct autistic principles of modularity and connecting through standard interface. So now all you have to do is unplug it, and it's legal.
Isn't that crazy though, that just putting it in the device changes the legality of it? It's unbelievable.
Crazy, yes. Unprecedented, no.
No, I know.
But
so all right.
I should go to questions people have written in the chat, and then we
Okay.
can wrap this shit up.
Yeah, we need to wrap it up soon. I gotta get going.
So question: what some see as their purpose is trauma-based attachment. Doesn't AI force us to find real purpose if we can? Might AI not be the mirror that forces us to face our demons? What about AI that will help people find purpose? The entrepreneur is also not the best at the things his coworkers are good at. He still has purpose. Does the tech do what all tech does? It kills stuff, but it always also creates new things.
Yes, it's well said. So yes, traditionally, all technology has changed human society and obsoleted some, skills and knowledge and shifted them to new areas. I think, so I'll say two things. One, this is fundamentally different because this does everything, or will do everything that humans can do better and cheaper than humans can do them, whereas previous technologies didn't do that. Humans simply moved up the hierarchy, right? We're still doing manual labor, of course. Lots of humans around the world are still digging holes, literally, but most of the economy, right, shifted towards information, intelligence, abstractions on top of physical systems. And this is the end of that road. There's nowhere left for humans to go. I've had one person argue to me, which has some validity, I think, that there is one place left for humans to go, which is the spiritual realm. So we were
That's
beasts
definitely
of
part of
burden,
it.
and then we were enslaved with thinking. Like we had to do these thinking jobs, and now the machines are going to do that. And so where do we go, right? All we have is our mind and our body, and those have now been both obsoleted. And so yes, we have the spirit, but I don't know what that looks like. That's kind of my point, is like I don't know how that actually plays out.
That's why people need it, though, because they don't know what it looks like,
day-to-day.
because they haven't been paying attention. They've been distracting
Yes,
themselves.
no, for the first time in human history, hopefully, right, once all the dust settles, I'll put it that way, humanity is probably going to be in a situation where everyone needs to wake up every day and figure out what they want to do, what their purpose is. And it's going to be completely self-chosen and self-directed because they won't have to do anything. They literally won't matter to society. Like, you could wake up and do nothing. You could wake up and work your ass off all day, and basically nobody will care. It's all about you at that point. And so, yes, it is a new frontier for humanity. And
All right, next question.
yeah.
Question. What can the state do with all the AI? How fucking bad will it become? How Terminator will it become? How do we harness the tech ourselves? My GPU is too weak to run Skynet. I feel like we already kind of answered that a little.
Yeah, it can become as bad as you can imagine.
Question. Are these binary clanker machines not just another evolutionary step of communication like books and films, and where language models are thinking machines, but they are also living books? There are no demons inside books, yet demons and angels do write books. Whoa.
Oof. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I mean, you can call them clankers, but these things are really good. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how to answer that.
John Galt says, I am currently allergic to the words purpose and meaning. Too much metaphysical baggage for me. I have things I enjoy doing. That's it.
Great. Sounds like you might make it.
Yeah.
That's the right mindset.
Yeah, I mean, me too. I'm over here just playing video games and jerking off. Like, what you think I don't want a sex bot and to lose purpose? That's what are you talking about? That's that's the end goal I've been working towards the whole time. What do you think this is?
Yeah, people who live on Earth and enjoy their feet in the dirt and sun on their skin are probably going to be okay.
I'm going to automate that too. And then finally, Rayo 2 actually asked us a question earlier regarding AI centralizing intelligence. Matt's thoughts on Thiel's Palantir and the political situation in the U.S. being integrated in the U.S. government, ramifications for individuals based on all we've discussed would be curious.
Yeah, it's no different than what we've addressed, which is basically the government, corporate partnerships, crony capitalism.
Palantir is the worst of the worst. Everyone knows what their MO is.
Yeah, I mean, this is big tech combined with state force and a money printer is recipe for totalitarianism. So that's what they're doing. That's what their goal is. I read Klaus Schwab, the WEF guy. He was the head of the World Economic Forum for a long time and wrote the Fourth Industrial Revolution, the book. There was a couple of years ago during the COVID time when he was kind of, cited as being one of the world's worst, right? He was one of the elites trying to push for this dystopian technocratic future. And anyway, I read his book because I like to understand the way those people think. And his book was very, very coherent. He totally understands, or at least the people around him who helped co-write it or whatever, they, broadly speaking, but him as a representative, totally understand this technology. They understand how computers work. They understand encryption. They understand AI. They understand robotics. They understand where it's going, generally speaking, the trajectories, the improvement, the rate at which they're improving. And their conclusion, right, which is where we differ, of course, is that these new technologies all emerging at the same time are so massively disrupting to existing socioeconomic and cultural systems that there's no way we can navigate it without killing each other. There's no way that we, left to our own devices, the people of Earth, can possibly handle this kind of situation gracefully or even with any hope of survival. We're just fucked. We're doomed. And so therefore, it is the responsibility, in fact, the divinely ordained, necessary responsibility of he and the other world's elite to take control and shepherd us through this transformative moment to make sure that we survive and are well cared for, and that our most likely outcome is a fully bought and paid for, you know, you own nothing and you'll be happy kind of world where you have everything you need for nothing. Government just gives everyone everything that they need, and most likely you spend your whole day taking drugs and playing video games.
And also
That-
most of you will be dead.
Yeah, but that's his thesis, right? That is the thesis of the book. Is
Yeah, well,
massive
you
disruption.
characterized it correctly. Yeah.
Yeah, our job to shepherd you through the chaos and take care of you like the children you are. That's their thesis.
Well, I'll tell you right now, this is another thing us elites have in common. Would they believe, just like what I believe, it's a foregone conclusion. We believed it a long time ago. We definitely didn't form these opinions in reaction to anything new. They always felt they've been talking this way since the 19th century at least. So just like people like me have. So we'll justify anything to line up with whatever we already thought before.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, thank you so much for being on the show, putting up with me. I'm sorry we didn't have time for you to like say nigger or argue against the age of consent, or talk about conspiracy theories or fringe science. Usually my interviews devolve into, or your race realist theories, or you're a scientific racist. Usually my guests get to do one of those things, but you were doing too much nice, productive, normal talk.
I try to stay in that lane, man. I make freedom tech for human dignity. I try to stay in that lane.
Well, good job. keep at it. And plug all your stuff before you go.
Oh, I did. I've been plugging it for 3 hours.
Well, fucking plug it again. It's the end. It's called the call to action.
Oh, God. Go to Start9.com if you want to learn more. It's a terrible website, but that's only a testament to how much we care about our products and not our marketing. You can find me on X, I guess. I'm not really on much social media, but I'm definitely...
Are you on Nostr or something?
I have a Nostr account, but I don't get on there very often. It's just, I don't know, kind of died off. I'm bullish on Nostr, but at the moment, not very active on it. But I'm not hard to find. If you're in our community channels, I'm extremely active, always doing customer support, always helping out, always building stuff.
What protocols are your community channels on? You talking about chats?
So we have a self-hosted discourse at community.start9.com.
Oh, cool.
We have a self-hosted matrix server that is gated for community only, because otherwise the spammers and scammers show up and try to phish everyone for their mnemonics. So we gate it with access codes. Anyone who wants an access code, we give them out. If you buy a device from us, you can buy an access code, or if we know you're not a scammer or a spammer, we'll just give you one. So, but we don't just give them out, obviously, to anyone we don't know, because that's literally how you get scammers. So we have to gate it somehow. And otherwise, yeah, that's it. So the public one that we don't gate is community.start9.com. And the one that we do gate, you need an access code for, and that is start9.me.
All right, cool. Thank you, Matt. Hope to talk to you again sometime. Keep in touch.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate the invitation.
Keep track of Start9 and shit, because they're always doing cool shit. We didn't get a chance to rub their face in how long it took for the last version of Start9 to come out. But it's, or StartOS, I mean, but it's worth it. It's worth the wait. We're glad that you guys are coming out with new stuff again finally.
Yeah.
So everyone should watch Start9 very carefully.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And I'll say one more thing here. It's very rare that I get on a call of any kind and find myself on the short end of the radical stick. So congratulations.
No one can beat me. You can only kill me.
All right, man. Thanks.
All right, man. Have a good day.
All right.